Welcome back, everybody, to the CBLOL English. My name is Trajan. I'm joined by Roodood. Today, this is playoffs. This is Split 1 2026, and we have arrived the lower bracket finals. Red Canids versus Los Grandes.
And I mean, the fact that we've got these two teams here, I think is a surprise in both standings, to be completely honest. I think, were you to tell me that Los and Red would make it this far at the start of the split, maybe, I'd be there with you. The way that we've seen this split go, though, the fact that Red are in the lower finals feels like a little bit of an upset, and the fact that Los have made it this far through the lower bracket, also a little bit of a surprise as well.
Yeah, Los have had to battle their way here, right? They've had to get past Fluxu twice. We can see the bracket on your screens right now. And they had settled into this kind of, these guys are pretty good. They're pretty fun, eh? They're pretty good at some things, but the limitations are going to be too much. They can only go so far. And they did get dropped down into the lower bracket round 1 by Fluxu. But then they beat BKS, and then they beat Loud, and then they beat Fluxu on the rematch. And here we are against Red, against the kind of eponymous favorites going into this bracket, who were taken down by Fury in the upper bracket finals. The question has to be, when does this lost journey end?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is, well, it could be next week or it could be this week. Either way, I think they'll be happy with it. As we do take a look at the roster, Zest, Curse, Feisty, Dudu, and Ackerman. I mean, Zest and Dudu as well, really the big standouts from yesterday's series. Curse as well had the full range of emotions, really, I think. Or the full range of gameplay is probably the easier way to say it. Had some really standouts, some really stand up and try again styles as well.
Yeah, a couple of stinkers dropped by Curse, but I think that kind of has been the way for him, where there's a few picks that he's very, very effective on off of that pool, as Fearless will strip it away, tends to suffer a little bit. We can check Red, though, as well instead. We have Zinz, Steps, Kaze, Morteus, and Frosty. And I think the main thing for me here for Red is that we're not seeing Steps go absolutely nuclear every single game anymore. Now that we're deep into playoffs, the challenge is greater. A best-of series as well. It's not like he has pool problems or anything like this, but I think that as we get deeper into the pressurized part of the season, as Furia really got into their groove, I think we did see a pretty conclusive result that Tatu is still top dog in the jungle in this region. And I think for me, Steps and Kaze, Zinz particularly as well, coming in this top side, we need to see whether they can actually improve in the playoff scenario, as this has been a bit of a sticking point for Red over the last couple of splits. They do come out very hot from the split. They start playoffs well, but once things start to go wrong, it all goes wrong very fast, and then you just kind of tumble out.
Yeah, and we've had probably a couple of splits now where we're looking at Kaze going, you're by far and away the best mid laner in the league. Like, come on, let's... And I think that the thing that I'm looking for is to see if that lasts into playoffs. And, he's got a pretty easy matchup, I will say. Today, I think Feisty, can hold his own on occasion on some of those control mages, but up against Kaze, somebody who's got really deep pockets, really good answers as well to these control mages. I think that's a big area that today I'm looking to see Red try and exploit through. And if Kaze in particular can't step up, can't have that big showy performance, I'm then looking at, well, if they make it through to the finals regardless, how does that actually look?
Yeah, and if we don't have Kaze, as you say, we're then looking to the other matchups being someone playing into Zest, that's kind of tough, or playing into Dudu, also kind of tough. The side lanes are really where Los generate that advantage early on. That is where they've been dominating super hard, and Feisty has been doing a job in mid lane. He's been playing Talia, he's been playing Orianna, he's been playing Galio. He's not necessarily been dropping LeBlanc games like Kaze will do, or Silas games, or even so much things like Ari, right? Even things that necessarily can be strong in a 2v2 mid game. Feisty really does feel like a bit of a central supporting pillar, but not necessarily where the wins are found directly for Los. So I kind of want to see Kaze try and exploit this. I want to see him play for himself, pick something that can dominate in the 1v1, because the side lanes are going to be harder, I think, for Red to find early leads there.
Yeah, I mean, Zest yesterday was very capable, very confident as well. Regardless of games that they were winning or losing, one thing that they could count on was Zest coming away with a lead out of the top lane. So we just got to see at the bottom right of your screens, the players taking the stage, getting themselves seated. We'll be ready for a draft in not too long at all. And remember as well, Los played a big best-of-5 series literally yesterday. So whether you want to call that fatigue or experience, it goes both ways. Are they more ingratiated to the playoffs because they've played now 5 series in it, or are they fatigued because they had to play 5 games yesterday as well? What does that look like for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long road here, right? We saw how many matches they've had to go through, and a lot of these have been 5-game series as well. They've gotten maximum number of stage games they can, and as long as they can maintain that level, that experience is hopefully going to help them to keep growing. It feels like they certainly know and have identified what parts of the game they're good at, and they do play for those parts. The lane dominance in top and bot lane, the mid-game pressurizing, really just like grouping up, betting on themselves and trying to force the issue and push a lead quickly. If they don't necessarily get into that later stage with the lead, they do start to suffer. They're not necessarily comeback kings on Los Grandes, but they are very overwhelming early on. And I think the coaching staff, Enertron and the rest, have realized this is what this team does. So we're going to draft for it and we're going to play for it. And that has gotten them a long way into this playoffs as we are into the pick and bans. Now, a lot of the standard bans we're seeing coming through right here. Jarvan and Rumble on one side from Los, Orianna, Varus, and Cassio from Red. Cassio really has become that kind of a bit of a pick ban threat. It's been creeping up over the last few patches, and both of these mid laners I think would be pretty serviceable on it.
Yeah, if I actually took a pick or took a stab at the Cassio yesterday, looked fine out of lane, looked like he struggled through the laning phase itself. But I will say, I want to put some points towards Los's drafting as a point of contention more than anything. Yesterday, they lost 2 games. One of them single-handedly through draft. The other one, I'll put 50% of the blame there and 50% on a good performance by Furia.
Yeah.
But if the Los drafts tighten themselves up, I really think that this could be a competitive series. To get some prediction from myself quickly out the way, I do think Red feel like the favourites coming into this series, despite Los's lower bracket run. But Los have bested their demons of the upper bracket, right? Furia knocked them down to the lower bracket. They beat them yesterday. It was a 5-game series. It was hard. It was well fought for. But I do think that Red here are going to be able to take over the line, even with good Los drafting.
Yes, I think it will absolutely take a bit of a Red collapse to actually open the door to a Los win today. Now, we have seen it before, as I said, but if they've learned from that position and not taken the Furia 0-3 too hard, then I think they should absolutely still be the favorites here today. Now, we have Red on Red's side, but with the first pick, they've gone for the Bard #1. That is a Frosty classic, and I'd be happy for him to play it in literally any scenario, to be honest. It's going to be with the Ezreal. That's a great common pairing with it. On the side for Los, we've got a Nocturne Rise to open it up. So we've got good global map pressure from this mid-jungle to get into those side lanes and make sure Zest and Dudu are popping up as much as possible. So I think it's good. This approach from both teams makes a lot of sense to me.
It does indeed. And this Sion pick as well here gives Red that big front line that they're going to always look towards, that we're expecting to see from Zinz and that we're expecting to see from this front-to-back composition that Ezreal kind of mandates. For Red here, it's protection bans now, right? This is a blind pick, Sion into the top side. Are we thinking, let's take away Vayne from Zest? Let's take away Tristana from Zest? Because those are some of the picks that yesterday got very heavily focused. We didn't see a Zest Vayne, but it is very much on the cards here as well, as Los so far have drafted themselves this go forward, go big, go hard composition with the Sivir enabling all of that. A Vayne extra DPS in the back really doesn't feel like it's too out of place where we see it locked in.
Yeah, the top lane really has become a bit of a morass of Vaynes and Twisted Fates and Varuses and Ivias, and then Sion and Cassante just holding on by the fingernails. Like, you cannot push us out of this game. We're still here. We're still frontlining. And there goes the Zest ban, kind of as expected there. A Lee Sin ban to wrap it up from Los as well after taking that Anivia off the table. So yeah, I think trying to ban out Zest is tricky if you can take just your least favorite options and just hope and pray, shake Zint's hand, send him up there into the trenches and hope he comes out okay. Sion certainly doesn't mind being behind out of lane more than most. That's the final option there. So let's see what Los have here. What is Zest's choice going to be? It looks like the Aatrox, actually. So none of this range nonsense, but still something that's happy enough into the Sion 1v1.
The left are taking over. This is good to see here, as Los now able to lock in some good top lane, some good old-fashioned top lane brawling. It's what support are they going to look to lock in with this? It feels like we want something to go forward with them. Wouldn't be against a Seraphine, actually. I know it splits up the Ashe Seraphine. Blasphemous of me to suggest it, but Seraphine feels like a good pick. Karma could also go really nicely down on that bot side as well to just enable the movement speed. Sivir Karma duo, obviously, very, very solid. For Red, though, They go tried and true. Arivi, thank you very much.
Yes, understandable for Steps and Kaze, and especially as I think we really want this mid-jungle to try and assert itself. Feisty and Curse are very much the supporting staff, and if they cannot hold that 2v2, that's going to be a problem for Los. I think Red feel like they're playing through the right lane to me, which is through Kaze and Steps. So we'll see what the answer for Los is going to be. We did see the hover of the Camille there. I'm sure all the Red or the Los haters will remember the Mel Camille bot lane that, again, their drafting is not perfect. We can certainly admit this, and we'll see how perfect it remains going through the rest of today. But it's a Rakan for Ackerman. It's a pretty standard kind of versatile support pick. But how do you feel about it with the Sivir into this Ezreal Bard as well? You know, is there any kind of particular advantage that either side is going to have down there, or is it really just going to be about what happens after the lane?
Sivir should just push. We're looking to see what happens after the lane, though. Both of these supports want to leave, want to get out of lane. Level 3, Roodood School of Support. See you later. I've got my skills and I'm out on the map. And that's pretty much what we're looking for. Sivir's going to push in the Ezreal. If the Ezreal can get prio through good fighting and lethal tempo uptime, maybe you can push the Sivir back underneath the turret. But I do think that the Rakan is going to struggle this game. We look at the champions that it's playing up against, right? You've got Vi, Ahri, mobility there. You've got Ezreal with mobility there as well. I actually think trying to catch on to these big targets is going to be pretty important and equally pretty difficult here. So big challenge for Ackerman, I think, on this Rakan in game number 1, but we'll see if he's up to the plate.
Certainly, I'd be happy to bet on him at this point right now. I think Ackerman has always been kind of the glue that holds this Los Grandes roster together. First quietly, and as of playoffs, quite loudly, in fact, has been very, very present at the front line of these Los wins, especially as, you know, some of their very volatile carries as they go up and down the roller coaster of League of Legends. Ackerman is always there to push them forward towards the right solution. I think the veterancy that he shows coming into the CBLOL is undeniable at this point with young carries like Zest and Dudu. You can get them in the right place, give them the right support. They can do wonders, and Ackerman has been a big part of that as we head onto the Rift here. Lower bracket finals, Los Grandes versus Red Canids. Furia waiting in grand finals for the winner here today. They are looking almost untouchable on this current form, so whoever comes out of this match has a tough finals ahead of them. But first, they've got to make it there as we head onto the Rift.
Okay, a little early look from Los to try and see if they can get a ward down on that Raptor pit. Of course, with the minions spawning a lot earlier, you don't have as much free time to dilly-dally around. You kind of got to get back to your camps nice and quickly. We'll note here that we have got Exhaust for Morteus down on the bot side, so initial combat power going to be quite oppressive down on the bot side for Los, using that barrier, using the heal to be able to trade very aggressively. As the little placards on the left-hand side, they're reminding everybody that recent patch did sort of dissuade the Enchanter meta down in the bot side and has led us more towards, at the very least, resolve champions in terms of those keystones.
Yes, down stocks going for Echoes of Helia, for Dreammaker, you know, we're putting some energy back into the Lockets of the Iron Solari and similar items down in that bot side, trying to balance out that support meta just a little bit more. Rakan and Bard kind of evergreen somewhat, just by this kind of odd position they sit in, and certainly as comfort goes, Frosty and Ackerman are very comfortable with these champions. For the early jungle side, we've got both of them starting on top side, potentially pathing down towards bot lane. Fairly common, I think, with how much scrapping goes on in bot lane these days and how bot lane focused a lot of our CBLOL team are. We have so much talent coming out of that lane at all times. You don't, not surprised to see people trying to funnel a bit of gold into it. Feisty as well has the Deathfire touch on Rise. So there's been a lot of changes to this item, but is even, you know, with the changes and removal of Phase Rush and replacement with Storm Raider Surge, which I don't think people are super happy with. Is this a normal pick for Rise keystone-wise?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, Rise, like, the thing with Deathfire Touch is, are you consistently casting spells? If you're playing Rise, yeah, I am, actually, as far as spellcasters go. Pretty high uptime with that. I guess an alternative would be, I don't know, Conqueror, probably. Just something to get you going really excessive through these team fights. But Phase Rush feels, well, not Phase Rush, rather, Deathfire Touch feels appropriate here for Feisty, especially since, you know, he's probably going to be the one who has to get through Zints as we get into the later stages of the game. That big beefy front line, having that consistent uptime on the DPS is definitely going to feel pretty good for you if you've got that Deathfire rolling in the back pocket. But I will highlight here steps on your minimap. First one to sort of showcase himself in any side of the river, where Curse has actually gone back to base, picked up a longsword, Ruby Crystal as well. Onus is on the Vi to get something going pre-level 6. Obviously has a big turn on at that level 6 marker. Hold the fort.
Ooh. Red getting some solid trades early on. They aggressively shift forward from Morteus, uses the exhaust as well, trades it for the heal out of Ackerman, but now the health bar is relatively even still. And the Red Canids bot lane trying to push and find some pressure up there. Now Zinz, not too much mana to speak of, is going to spot Curse, just finishing up that top scuttle, and is going to back right the way off.
Yeah, so again, just respect here for being paid by Zinz. You're playing weak side, you're playing Scion, and now you've got no mana, so your job has become even harder. And I think that for Red, again, it's them who need to try and make something happen through this early game. The Vi and the Nocturne both have those big level 6 turn-ons, but as we look at the late game scaling, gain Ari into the late game, not going to have the same DPS as a Rise, not going to have that same potential to carry a team fight. Unless we see these big crazy charms come through, but that's not as replicatable, not as consistent as Rise EQ, haha, funny buttons, so
yeah.
And Ezreal as well can be a big hyper carry, much more dependent though on landing those skill shots, where Sivir Rise just point and click and it feels pretty good and pretty easy to succeed later on.
Yeah, in a perfect universe, Ezreal, out damages every champion in the game. Sadly, this is not the universe that we often live in. And, we've seen a lot of Ezreal play. We have a lot of bot laners that are putting a lot of time into this champion, are very proficient at it. But for Morteus, there will be a task to see if he can keep up DPS-wise, especially if the game scales later. Now, Steps arriving in mid lane doesn't have an ultimate. As he doesn't have a charm. Feisty is not intimidated at all by this, and steps right back up again.
Vi, you've used your Q spell. I'm actually now fine to pretend like you're not here, and that's pretty much what Feisty does there. So nice to see that he's got the wherewithal to know what is actually dangerous to him. Has already gone back to base and picked up that tier. And so far, so good, Trajan here. Both of these sides, I think, coming in with different expectations. Red, the team that we're expecting to come away with this series win, and Los just happy to be here after they were sent down to the lower bracket super early on, but good charm connects. And I think that Red need to continue using Kaze, or need to begin using Kaze for this series, but continue in terms of the split to try and make sure that he can become unlocked, can generate that lead, and then blow this game back into their favor.
It is quite interesting to me, Roodood, in this first game, that it feels like Red are really playing... They're playing the Los Grandes comp. They're playing the lane into very fast-paced mid-game pick potential. Let's not let our enemies breathe through the 15 to 25-minute mark. And Los are the ones with the late game on lock. Now, they do obviously have the Nocturne ultimate, which can give them playmaking if they would like it. But Red, it does feel like the onus is on them to get some action going, to build up a bit of a lead, as Los Grandes are very, very strong individual talents. And if they've got the scaling on their advantage as well, that post 30-minute mark does become pretty terrifying. Now, here's an opportunity for Red to find a fight. Curse and Ackerman stepping into the river. Steps currently working on the bot. Scuttle, Morteus and Frosty fighting it off right now. There is the level 6 cease and desist on deck. Rakan trying to get out of there. Dudu gets the bot wave pushed in, and they break apart.
And immediately they're low snow. All right, Vi got the crab. Gonna ding level 6. Have to back away. That's why that second spawn of crabs is actually really sort of highly prized. Frequently sought after the second set of full clears. Now gives Steps a bit of free time to maybe move out on the map, look for an opportunity, use that level 6 as best as possible. Haven't really seen too much from him early on the Vi. A little showcase in the mid lane, but that was about it. And both of our sort of mid-game spiking carries for Los in their best position, right? Tia picked up for Feisty, Cole picked up for Dudu. They're just chilling, they're just waiting for that turn on in the mid-game to come to fruition. As we start to see the grubs spawning in about a minute's time, still got a dragon there as well, so going to be some opportunities for our junglers to get their teeth into this game.
Yeah, now that we have the both ultimates available for the Vi Ahri, I'm expecting a little bit of action there as Frosty and Ackerman trading positions in that mid lane. Lost will clear out that control ward on the bot side. There's still plenty of knowledge for Red as to what's going on down there. Top lane is kind of going more or less as expected. Zest exerting some dominance over Zinz, using the champion and the laning ability, but nothing really going too untoward for Red up in that top side. And I think, I want to see some plays kind of start coming through here for Red Canids. Steps has been a very front foot jungler in a lot of these games in this meta that is Jarvans and Zins, Vi, Neferi. There's so many junglers that can really just get stuff started and lead the charge into a play. Steps has been happy to use them to great effect. But we need to find the opportunity, I guess. You don't want to just tumble in without too much forethought, I suppose, as Lost will be ready to counter.
And I will say that just looking at the junglers once again, it has been Curse, who on this style of champion has tended to struggle, has definitely had more success on your Sejuanis, your Skarnas. Nocturne, not quite in the same wheelhouse and has tended to struggle on these picks.
Well, if you use Nocturne purely as a defensive paranoia tool that just turns the lights off of the enemy, becomes a perfect Curse champion. If you actually try and go in, now it's a problem. This has now become a champion that Curse is not so good at. The decision-making onus is way better placed on Ackerman and Feisty, to be honest, even, for my money with Los Grandes. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Sejuanis that are a bit more fire and forget, a little less committal. The Trundles, where you just sit back, throw some pillars, subjugate the enemy front line, and let your team do the work. That's really where we've seen Curse shine. And the Nocturnes, the Vise, not quite so much. So we'll see if he can keep his head early on, of course. It is early days in this series. We've seen the first dragon picked up by Red Canids, but Grubs and a small gold lead for Los Grandes. More or less as expected right now, but with Vi coming out onto the map right now as well. Kaze ready to go with an ultimate in the back pocket. See if this can get some action here for Red Canids. Otherwise, Los Grandes are going to be comfortably scaling towards those carry breakpoints.
And sort of extend your point about the champion pool for Curse a little bit. It does feel like Los kind of scale a little bit into a series as well. With all of the Nefiris and Xin Zhaos being picked and used, Curse doesn't have the opportunity to pick a champion he's less favourable on.
Oh, here we go with the paranoia onto Frosty. Flashes into the Bard portal to get back to safety. So, a good use of it there. Didn't quite find the kill, though. Everyone says you want that first Nocturne ult to get a kill on the board. At the very least, it will push this Bard out the bot river, where he has been living for a good few minutes. As we now see the counterplay, steps on that top side, going to get a world ender from Zest. Doesn't even commit the cease and desist. Has already taken an ultimate, will simply walk away with it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I mean, yeah, we talk about first paranoias needing to be important. I've still not seen cease and desist just yet, so let's actually remember that these buttons can be pressed, as both of our junglers now hitting level 8 as well, so good amount of time that they've had.
Yep, Steps. I don't know if he's just trying to steal CS or what the point was going on there. Just trying to freak him out a little bit. So freak me out a little bit.
They were thinking about the dive, is my idea. I think they could have gone for it, but with Curse right there, they then can't.
Yeah, perhaps, Kaze's like, no, I don't see Nocturne actually. No, thank you. I'm having a nice time in my lane.
Yeah.
And we'll see what the choice is going to be. So, we have to wait now 3 minutes for another dragon to come up, 4+ minutes for the Herald. It really is just going to be on kind of lane positioning as to whether we can actually open up a fight right now. And given, trying to 2v2, find a kill angle onto Ezreal Bard and likewise onto Sivir, Rakan, onto Feisty. Now we've got Mercs and Cataclysm. It just feels like it's very hard for any lane to actually get a kill scenario going, even with the Viari.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where they're supposed to look here.
Well, I think the wherewithal about it, or the idea here that I would posit to you as a benefit that Red can have, is that you can never go wrong with ganking bot lane. And yes, like you say, Sivir and Rakan, not as easy, but they're squishier. So if you land CC, they probably die, and that'd be my best hope, really, for Red.
Scrapping over this bot scuttle right now, and we had some skill shots thrown back and forth either way. Paranoia not quite available for Curse, but he did actually snap away that bot scuttle. Ackerman has flown through a rogue Bart portal, and now Red diving forward with the opportunity, and a second Bart ultimate connects to slow Rakan down even more. And it's a first blood from Morteus. Now, can they look for anything else here? They don't have a buy ultimate anymore, and they'll let Lost retreat back into the river.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a good fight for Red. And I'm hoping we get a replay, because that might be the funniest misclick that we've seen in the CBLOL maybe this entire year. Fortunately, there are no objectives up for it. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Now, this is where in the LPL we'd get a slow-mo, but Ackerman flashes immediately into the portal and just takes it. He gets a double charm, and it would have been like double charm into knock up into Los, having Roodood there ready to DPS. But what actually happens is Ackerman just takes the portal immediately because of the clicks that he goes for. It's a full disaster, but it is very funny.
Kaze flashing away from this Rise ultimate into bot side, but the Fear's going to connect, and that's going to be an easy pick from Los Grandes, successfully fighting back in bot side. Yeah, man, the banana peel Bard portal is something I've not seen quite before, but it was very well used in that play. However, Lost not being dissuaded, hold on to their gold lead after that counterplay on Takaze.
They do, and that's important here, is, the fact that they are up in gold with the composition that theoretically does scale better. In the only area of the map that we'd argue doesn't quite have that same scaling, actually going to be top lane. The Scion, as far as meatballs go, probably just the best that there is, to be completely honest. Yeah. And it's not like Aatrox scales badly, it's just Scion scales like incredibly. So we'll see if
it scales forever, technically.
Yeah,
with
literally.
Minion kills,
so that's something that can maybe be going their way. But also in the late stages of the game, damage is better than tanks because you get to build 6-item Sivir and you have the late game fantasy where you're just able to kill Scion anyway. So it's something for Los to consider, as they have just sent Roodood back to base on the spawn of a dragon, and Red with the first one already. They're going to be looking to find this second one. Zest on the top side, no TP, no real sign of Los looking to contest this, but it's about what they're getting instead. Are they getting gold onto their carries? Are they denying gold from Red at all? And I mean, to be honest, the answer seems like no.
Steps whiffing the Vault Breaker over the wall right there. Nobody saw it, buddy, don't worry. But yeah, they were, Lost was very willing to fight over not much about 90 seconds ago, but not really interested in playing over second rate. As we are going to get some waves crashing in for Red and bot side as well. We had the picture-in-picture. Top lane is certainly moving in Zest's favor, but that would have been happening regardless. So,
I think the break point for me is the second Red lose a dragon. Even if they go down in gold, the second they lose a Drake is when I start to get scared. Because it is an Infernal Soul. That will offset a lot of the gold gap that is starting to creep in here. And will also offset some of the scaling issues that they have. It becomes, okay, well, the Ezreal now needs to land, 60% of his skill shots as opposed to 70, right? Or some imaginary philosophical number that makes it more in line, as Red are heavily overloading for Feisty right now.
Trying to get this wave pushed in. Does he know? Well, he knows now as the Scion Ultimate comes through. Step's going to try and get into range. No knock-up actually found. There's the devastating charge, and Kazi dives in deep, but it's a beautiful paranoia from Curse. And Feisty survives. The Ezreal ult can't find the kill, and Lost will diffuse that play.
Yeah, and down on the bot side, Zest able to very easily get some gold in his back pocket. Probably going to find the entire tier 1 turret down there. That's a big commitment from Red that ultimately nets them nothing. As Los in the mid lane going to battle it out with Morteus. Frosty, nice little 2v2 action still going on. There's that first turret that falls. And the Herald up on this top side. I mean, with big cooldowns down, I would like to see Los head up there, try and take this for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like at this point, the onus is going to be on Red to outmaneuver them in a team fight, in a specific play, as the laning has been comfortably for Los. They are very, very strong at that point in the game, just individually. They've not opened up many windows for Red to punish as they head onto this Herald as well. Now, Curse without a paranoia necessarily. Zest currently back in base, TP at the ready, and Red do not seem to be in a position to really do anything about this. Steps is arriving. Actually, we're TPing in. Red want to contest. Right. Here comes Zest as well. Deep into that backside. Slightly isolated right now as the Herald is picked up, but now that lets Ackerman into the backside. Kazi is trying to arrive. We've already lost the Bard. And now can we isolate Ackerman? We can't. The Viol's not enough. Morteus is on his lonesome on the backside of this play. Has to shift over the wall, no mana to speak of, and Lost walk away with a kill and a Herald.
Alrighty, starting to get worried now for Red, as that was a pretty big blunder around the neutral objective on the top side. Again, they feel needed to go for it.
Steps goes for a ballsy Vault Breaker and gets the counter paranoia coming through. Now, it's actually pretty good for Red, actually. Lost Feisty flashing away as the mid lane turret falls. Kaze with another Spirit Rush charge. Chooses to hold it, just zips back into the mid lane. And Red really struggling to put hands on the targets they need.
Yeah, and again, this composition needs to get off to the races here, and they've done anything but that, down 3k gold at this stage. And I mean, in fairness, I think that this game is a lot more even than a 3k gold lead might lead you to believe, because the majority of that is localized in the top lane. Zest was always going to be ahead, and he might throw that away.
Yo, here we go with the full CC combination. That's certainly interactive gameplay, and that's what Red needed to see. And you're absolutely right, Rude. We've seen a lot of lost games where it's basically even, and then Zest is 2, 3, 4k ahead. This is quite a common occurrence for Los Grandes games. And if they're able to make plays on him, and yeah, just make plays as the other 4v4 kind of matchup here stacks up pretty much evenly.
It does, and especially at this stage as well, I'd even give the edge over to Red. That 2-item spike has been hit for Morteus. He's just ticked over to Trinity Force. Muraman is going to be online in not too long a time at all. We do get another look at this fight. Ackerman on the Rakan, really good angle for him. Lands 3, gets a 4th with Kaze on the Charm. Is able to dash back to his team as well. Morteus can't get involved. Kaze can't get involved. And it's just a really quick pickup. 1 for nothing, but definitely what Los were looking for.
Talker's in deep conversation with BLZ on the backside here. Probably a little bit worried as to how this first game is unfolding. Obviously, we do have a full best of 5 here today. Plenty of time to try and adjust and change up the strategy if today does not go, if this game 1, I should say, does not go their way. 30 seconds on the Infernal Drake would be a sole point for Red. And as you say, Rube, we're starting to get a little worried. We kind of need to see them put a win or 2 on the board. Otherwise, Los are going to feel more and more like the likely winners right here. Zest, once again, isolated. Lovely catch. Do they have enough to get him over the line? Yes, they do. Kill for Ari. Now Dudu in the wrong spot. Exhausted has to flash away. Tempered Fate connects. Do they have a CC chain set up? They certainly want to, but Zest flash past him, and the turret's still alive. Morteus picks up 1 onto Curse, but takes a lot of damage in recompense. Steps barely alive. Zint's trying to slink his way to safety. Flashing from Frosty, and the counter, the re-engage from Red. Saves that fight. Little sketchy in the middle there, folks, but they walk away with the win.
That's the win that they needed, okay? They get the Dragon, they put themselves to soul point, and now they can even try to pressure this mid lane turret as well. I think they're going to go for bot instead. HP bars are quite low, but Red find the Dragon, find the fight, and that is the crucial break point for them here. Gold still not quite in their favor, but will probably tick over in just a couple of seconds. Zest once again caught out, picked off before anything can happen. Ackerman in 2 minds here. Does he want to try and save? Does he not? By the time he actually gets the charm, doesn't get to do anything. But since flashes in here, tries to time it so his ulti lands as the stasis comes off, actually overshoots, gives Curse away into the backline, and Kaze does fall. But then Feisty goes a little bit, Feisty as well as the rest of Los go a little bit too deep here. Frosty with a great Q flash, and the power of Bard into Sivir. Even if you spell shield part 1, part 2 still stuns you. And you can see Kaze in high spirits as he got taken down under that turret.
He's creasing right now. He's cracking up right now watching that fight unfold. Certainly high spirits, as you say. And the gold is still dead even, folks. We are now 3 dragons deep for Reds. They have an Infernal Soul to play for. The Paranoia threatening, and there's a TP behind. Vision, do they have an angle in? This went very well for Lost last time. In they go. Ackerman looking to follow up, but Red trying to kite back. Frosty with a portal to safety. Morteus looking caught in the front line. Tempered Fate onto 2. Ezreal is isolated, but on the other side, Feisty's gone down. Zest looking to continue this play. Stunned up against the wall. The World Ender timing down. Kaze could look for more. Charm doesn't connect onto Ackerman, but dashes forward. Without the Ezreal, there really isn't too much DPS left. And it's 1 for 1.
And that's where the gold lead was as well. Worth noting, yeah, Zintz was bot lane. So that's a 4v5.
Watching from bot side.
Yeah, with TP, but was just like, these guys got this. And especially when you are playing against the Nocturne, the time at TP is very, very short. So not too easy for him to get in that fight. And by the time that would have been able to, actually went away. And a really good toggle here, the observers. Curse had no way of actually ulting onto that backline, which is who he went for. By the time he finds a target, it's Kaze, and then he gets sort of bounce housed a little bit as he flashes over the wall, gets round back over it, after having already ulted part of the way over it also. Morteus going into this fight was the big gold lead, was where Red had that large advantage, and the fact that he falls does mean it's a rather favourable fight for Los. The fact that it's favourable for them, and they don't come out with more than a 1-for-1, at this stage, quite scary. And obviously, we've only got 2 minutes now, 3 minutes really, until that Infernal Soul comes up. And if Los haven't got their act together by then, could be a pretty big disaster to give that over to the Red Canids.
Yeah, and Red finally able to crack their first turret on bot side from Zintz right there. I mean, the fact they cracked a turret and then still came out even in that fight with Morteus going down, not ideal, but they're going to get a second right now here as Lost playing with a bit more respect as Red. They have blanketed vision along this top side of the river. I say respect. Zest blast cones his way onto that control ward, and we'll be able to try and hold the line. Zint's unlikely to be able to stop him. As Feisty and Ackerman, maybe seeing what they can do about it. I'm keeping my eyes on Dudu right now. This Sivir, 2.5 items deep, clearing out the mid wave right now, really needs some space to play and get those ricochets down, I think, if Loss wants to contest him in the 5v5.
Yeah, it's about making sure that Dudu can get to that 3rd item. Hold on.
We're going deep onto the Aatrox once again. We don't have the kill, though, and there comes the drain tanking. Now Red have to kite back and look for a new angle. Zest is full HP again already, but Curse and Feisty not looking so good. Zint's on the front line, struggling as well. Kaze threatening with another Charm over the wall, and Morteus healthier now, has the Mystic shots to poke with, but neither side can find a kill.
Okay, so everybody commits a lot of their tools there, but nobody actually goes down. It's a fight on the edge for both of these sides. Kaze there with a crucial whiff, actually, as he re-engages from Fog of War, doesn't manage to find the crucial charm that could have turned the fight heavily back into Red's favor. But you're already getting to see in these prolonged 5 versus 5s, Red actually don't have the damage to get through Zest. If Ackerman can peel, do just enough to keep the Aatrox alive, that's then when you can see Roodood, Feisty, actually starting to pump out some of the damage themselves. It's a little bit split. They've put some onto Feisty, some onto Zest, and if they'd have categorized on one, they'd have probably found it and been able to steamroll the fight. As it was, they didn't get either of them, and then Low start to push forward. The Sivir able to get some good damage down. Roodood largely untouched this entire time. But even despite missing skill shots, look at the Malignance procs on the ground there. Ari actually doing a lot of chip damage just by existing almost.
Top lane turret falls as we head back to live. Los Grandes now have stripped away every outer turret. And Red, I think, are still looking to set up another play. Ackerman all steps onto a hidden decimating smash. Loses half his HP for the pleasure. As 30 seconds before another Infernal Drake, everybody. This could be the Infernal Soul for Red. And that would likely be the damage boost they need to start getting these traps, these kill plays over the line successfully, as they are running out of time to try and get a real advantage. Los Grandes, the scaling is in their favor as Red peel back into the river.
Roodood didn't get to go back to base, hasn't found that crucial third item. So sat 50% crit, no grievous wounds, no big tank shred capability just yet for Zinz. As the initial poke coming from Morteus is going to be really important. Red are already on the dragon. Los need to find a way in.
Feisty's on a flank position right now. Ackerman has been strong on the engages. If he can get onto those critical targets, could be scary. In comes the Paranoid, the Realm Warp as well. Los Grandes committing forward. They dive in deep, and Red need to get the re-engage down. Roodood avoids the Temper's fate. Curse has taken Morteus. The kills flying back and forth. Kaze's been sectioned away, but a Bard portal with 3 Red members diving into the backside. Roodood barely breathing. Zinz hunting him down as Zest continues to be a menace on the backside. A flash explosion from the Scion knocks out the Sivir. As Kaze and Feisty running rings around each other in the jungle. Steps is still alive. He has the smite on deck. If they can get this soul done, but the fight's looking pretty scary. Kaze pulling the recall and can TP back in.
I think they're just going to go for the fight here. Red, take the Drake, get out. That's the soul picked up. And it's Red Canids coming away with that crucial objective that should be able to see them over the line now. A slight gold lead as well for them off the back of that fight. And we're just a few items short of Los Grandes actually being able to truly come out on top of that team fight. A lot of really well executed sort of exchanges throughout that entire skirmish, but Los just don't have the damage right now. And Red are just far enough ahead to do enough. It feels like they're running and the cheaters at their heels, but hasn't quite caught them yet, but we know that soon it's going to be coming.
Eventually it will. You're absolutely right, dude. They are doing just enough to come out ahead, to squeak out ahead from these plays, and they've done it enough times in a row that the Infernal Soul is now theirs. This gives them a sizable boost to play with, and if they can keep these fights coming, there's now a Baron live. If they can find a big team fight win and an opportunity to keep that momentum rolling all the way to the Nexus if they have to, because if they get stalled out much longer, that cheetah is going to catch them.
I think now is when Red really need to push and try and take charge of this game. They wait much longer. You're then going to be playing into Actualizer for Feisty, Infinity Edge for Roodood, and that's then when I start to see the tides maybe swinging back into Los's favor, even despite this Infernal Soul that Red have picked up for themselves. So now it's about getting vision on that top side, start working your way into this top and mid lane, and then you can start to try and take that Baron, because if they leave this game much longer again, they're going to get caught. They're going to end up being found out and probably lose this game as a product of scaling. Los already trying to stop that from happening.
Ackerman and Zest find a way onto Frosty. The Bard not having a good time, but finds a stun and a portal to safety. TP in from Zinz to get into that frontline position, but the Paranoia comes through. Morteus has to Ian flash away. He avoids the fear, I think, but might have just gotten away with it regardless. Zest into the backline, looking for more. Gets away from the decimating smash, and Roodood is free-firing through this play. Morteus and Vi both fall.
And they've just not got the damage. If they can't protect Morteus, they cannot win these fights. Now Los are the ones, AD carry in hand, that are going to turn to the Baron.
Since looking to see what he can do, stepping past that vision, but there's no smite to contest it. Realistically, this is Los's Baron. And just as Red felt like they could have cracked open the door to push through this game, Los slam it in their faces once again. Ackerman cannot connect the knockup with the Grand Entrance, but the Baron is secured, and the rest of Los are piling in to this Scion. A Bard ultimate from Frosty is enough to get him to safety. The Tempered Fate is used, the portal as well. The Scion at least will live.
I think that's a really big escape, actually. That would have desynced the death timers and given Los a really good opportunity to push with this Baron after resets. But unfortunately, Red just face-checking in without proper coverage. Frosty there gets largely chunked out, and Morteus, as we will become to see, is the large focus. Los are doing such a good job. Feisty will realm warp in some targets. Ackerman able to get in as well. Zest hops in the realm warp, and watch his flash here. You can see a really good peel from Zinz as he's trying to put the Q down, but Zest flashes over it. Manages to get Q3 square on the Ezreal's head, and he just collapses.
Los Grandes happy with what they're seeing right here. The gold actually swinging right back into their favor. Infernal Soul or no. Red Canids decidedly on the back foot here. 2 minutes left on the Baron power play for Los. That's going to get them close up to the Elder Dragon spawn timer. And there's plenty of gold still to strip off on the map right now. Zest pushing on bot side. The rest of Los floating between mid and bot lane. Feisty watching and waiting if he needs to realm up into a situation. As Red, they do have opportunities to try and find a pick, especially with the split lane focus. They've got the Vi Ari combination. They're on to Zest. Scion ultimate as well. It's a good CC chain, but Curse with the paranoia slowing them down. And Red are running for the hills. Even after that engage, they are getting minced quicker and quicker. Every fight is harder for Los Grandes. They are pushing it now down with the Baron waves.
And now they should be able to turn back, get those objectives, try to push down into the base. With the Baron, the tier 3 is going to fall. The inhibitor surely going to follow afterwards, with 2 members dead on Red. I think they're just hoping that they can hold on to the Nexus, let alone anything else here. Morteus doing a very good job at pumping out some damage here with this Infernal Soul. Kaze looking to do the same thing, and HP bars are low here if Kaze wants to go fishing.
Zest and Feisty, the solo laners from Los, are going to have to flash away there from Feisty. Not quite going to get caught by a Tempered Fate, but they'll hold on to the bot inhib and the mid inhib turret as well. A lot of low HP bars from Los, but they know when to call the play done, and they will back away. We do actually have a second tier and a Seeker's Arm Guard on Morteus right now. It feels like we're really trying to put some extra defense into the tank because he is being focused out in these fights, and Zest was able to stick to him.
I mean, they are just cheaper than your BFs and your GAs, right? So going for Guardian Angel plus BT, like very expensive build path, whereas Zhonya's plus the Seraphs can be a little bit obviously better for you as Steps now are maybe in trouble.
He's on his own right now. Curse flying in with the Nocturne ultimate. The support coming in from Red. Can they get the damage down? They can't save Steps, that's for sure. Curse is pushed into a GA of his own as a Bard portal to safety, followed in by Zest. And a Realm Warp into the base by Los Grandes. Curse does go down for good this time. A charm onto Feisty, but they don't have the kill. Kaze is barely alive, has to flash away. Morteus and Frosty seeing if they can do anything about this Zest Aatrox. It's easier said than done, and Los Grandes will escort their top laner out of there.
And of course, the problem with going for a second tier for a Seeker's Arm Guard here is that you don't do the damage. Where's the anti-heal? How are we stopping this Aatrox from getting all of this HP back? Now your jungler's dead for 15 seconds, and guess what's just spawned? It's the Elder Dragon. They say Baron's the great equalizer, and that's what Los used it for. The Elder Drake is the great destroyer, and if they get that, they'll probably take the game.
Red trying to inch their way through the jungle, but there's so much Los vision to try and skip around. Los have, in fact, pulled a full recall, a full reset, as it were, so they're not going to try and rush this dragon down. But perhaps they just don't want to go onto it, you know, half-cocked. They don't want to rush it because they're feeling pretty confident. These fights are consistently going for them. It feels like the outscaling has officially occurred.
Yeah.
And Red are going to have to pull some sort of crazy mechanical outplay or receive a big mistake from Los Grandes to pull back this first game.
Yeah, and Morteus now full window shopping here. We've just got 3 different items in the works, none of them build into either one, as the Dragon, 3k.
It's going to get the Red into range right now as the fight has to come down after, but Steps again evaporates on the front line. Curse steps back for the Elder, and Red know that they cannot surely survive this play. Kaze and Morteus zoned away from their base as the Elder Dragon buff makes these fights even more deadly. Ezreal tries to get over the wall. Feisty's already taken down. And Azonias will only delay Morteus' death for a few seconds more. Red now only top and support left standing.
They have no Baron, but I think that even in the face of just Sion, just Bard, this game should be done and dusted. Los's lower bracket run starting off once again in this series with an absolute bang.
Los Grandes now pushing on to the final Nexus turrets, still wearing the Elder buff. Dealing so well with the red Infernal Soul, it's like they never even got it. You wouldn't be able to tell. Ricocheting Sivir autos clean up a double to finish this game off. As the last Nexus turret falling, flashing over out of the fountain comes Steps, but he's only going to go down for one final time. Los Grandes now continuing their run of good play, their run of success. They have had some testing series so far in this split, in this playoffs, Roodood. But they are looking like they've generated and built some real quality in that forward.
And that's a really solid start, obviously, for Los. You can see the red Canadians immediately. Back to the drawing board there. They got dealt a hand in the draft that meant they needed to do things early on. And ultimately, you know, we were looking at that sort of hallmark jungler who'd been so powerful for so much of this split. Maybe that confidence getting knocked by Tatu in the last stage, I'm not sure, but very rare that we see Curse seemingly go on par with, you know, a jungler of this level. And Curse, again, no notes really for that Nocturne performance. Did pretty much everything as you'd need to.
Yeah, never really over pushing his hand, never overstretching, never kind of on a different page to the team, was using the paranoia effectively, offensively and defensively. Yeah, no notes Nocturne game from Curse in this first one. Steps, on the other hand, you know, very quiet early on, and then we did see some good team fighting and some good target selection in those critical mid-game scraps that did get them an Infernal Soul. But past that point, it felt like he didn't have anywhere to go. As soon as he tried to step up to try and get a play going, he was just getting murked without mercy by the front line of blows.
Left, right, and center. And that comes off of the fact that they're not quite fully synced up, right? If Karze's going in, then maybe it works. If Zinz is going in with him, maybe that works as well. But I think Zinz was actually doing the right thing in trying to peel Morteus, trying to keep the Ezreal alive as best as possible. But that then obviously wasn't possible. Zest masterclass on the Aatrox once again here. Really solid performance from him out of the top lane. So an excellent start for Los here for game one.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go to a quick break for now. We'll be back with this series continuing. Red Canids down a game versus Los Grandes. Let's see if that's going to continue, if we've got another 5-game banger on our hands, or if Los Grandes will sweep aside our regular season first seed. See you in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. First game completed. Los Grandes outlasting Red Canids, scaling up with the Sivert, and just team fighting really darn well by the end of it there. Even though they lose the soul and it feels like they haven't won a team fight for most of the game, they just start winning at some point and never stop winning.
Yeah.
It's like they were. It feels like it was all planned. You know, they were just waiting for that moment.
I mean, to continue with the call on, like they established the win conditions pretty early doors. They knew what was necessary. I feel like we knew what was necessary, and the only people that didn't figure that out was Red, because they just they got the soul. Amazing, that was important.
Yeah.
But then bad things happened. Importantly, I do want to notice what we're seeing in the bottom there is that Red chose to get last pick. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading last pick in English correctly. Yeah. They chose to get counter pick, which you don't often see. Normally you see, okay, we're taking first pick, you can choose which side you want, and then they normally pick blue side. But actually, Red here have elected to take second pick, to take last pick, which I guess is a means to an end for Kaze, I would hope. I don't think even if you get the all-goated counter pick in the top lane for the Zints, I don't know that stops Zest. It might do, and they've got a game to work it out, but not where I would put my money.
Yes, I think Zints ultimately did his job absolutely as well as he should have, right? He was signed into Aatrox, he didn't really give up any more than normal in that top side. He was team fighting decently well, but where we really needed to see more from Red was from the mid jungle. It was Vi Ari. We expected to see action here. This needs to be leading the charge into every fight. And it felt like mechanically we weren't quite synced up. We weren't necessarily hitting all of our spells that we needed to. We weren't finding opportunities that we needed to. And this, as we said, this is where Red need to attack Los Grandes. This is the slightly less, the less explosive part of Los is feisty and mid, and Cursed, who can be known to crack under pressure. If you actually put him under any pressure, is probably where you need to start right here. Yeah. So for Los Grandes, they have had a very solid game one where they didn't have to rely on snowballing out of the early game. So that's a good mark for them as well, that they're not over-reliant on that style. And for Red, this mid-jungle, we need to see them step up a little bit. Otherwise, Los Grandes is going to have their number.
Now then, into the next set of picks and bans. Caitlyn taken off the board by Los Grandes. So a bit of a nod to Morteus there, saying you're not getting your hands on this one. And a lot of mid-lane focus. Importantly, I'm looking at our jungle bans outside of Jarvan. Pretty much everything's still up for grabs. So your Pantheon, your Xin Zhao, your Trundle Neferi, like there are plenty of things up on the plate for Steps if he does want to take one of those. But it is Los, importantly, with that first pick, they're going to get their pick of the litter.
Yes. Now the Jace, the last ban from Red, taking it is a flex between top and jungle most commonly now. Technically mid, but we don't really see it there often anymore. It doesn't seem like a feisty pick either. But ultimately, it does take one of Zest's strongest picks away. However, the Rumble banned in first game is open now, and I'm assuming we're probably just going to get Zinz Cassante to answer it, and then give Kaze that ultimate final pick. Right? I think Kaze is a guy with a huge depth of pool stylistically, and this is a guy, even if they, Red are focusing out that mid pool, trying to take Feisty off of comfort, they will always have a Kaze answer to whatever Feisty ends up going with in the end.
Yeah, that's the big kicker here. That's the hope for Red, is that you'll get last pick onto your mid laner. I think that here it's pick your jungler of choice, pick your top lane answer of choice. It's not a Cassante by any means.
No, it isn't.
But the Yorick gets locked in here, and that is an answer to the Rumble I really don't mind either. You put them in the baby cage, and the Rumble then can't run at you with a Flame Spitter on, which feels quite nice. And the Lee Sin here, by way of something that needs to get the ball rolling early, like it's if they don't do something this game, we may as well chalk it up, call it 3-0 and go home early.
Yeah, I'll be checking, Steps' temperature if he can't make plays happen on Lee Sin, because I think he might be a little ill. And we expect a lot, I think, from this pick. It was even banned last game, right? They were trying to take Steps off this champion. As Curse is going to go back to the Pantheon. We have seen this many times. Obviously, easy playmaking and global pressure across the map. Now let's see what Los Grandes have. Is it going to be a bot laner? Or are we going to just accept Feisty's mid before potentially getting him banned out even more? We have seen him happy to kind of concede that lane, fundamentally go for things like Talias and Gallios, but we'll see what the choice is going to be right here. Ackerman had a solid first game on the Rakan, now onto the Alistair.
Okay, Los did this yesterday, and they didn't get punished. Do I see Silas really early?
With Kaze even.
Yes, Kaze Silas is always an option. especially when you see Alistair. Now, this would be blind, Silas, so it's a bit of a gamble here, which I think is why Los this time are feeling a little bit more inclined to do it. I think they did it yesterday, and I was very upset with them about it, but they got away with it then, and it looks like they're going to get away with it now as the Annie gets locked in. Kaze, I mean, Lee Sin Annie is the do or die, get stuff done early, and you know, let's hope that they can.
Yeah, it's literally, it's even easier. You don't even have to like hit the charm. You just put the mouse on them and press Q or R. It's very, very easy here. At least for Kaze. Steps has to do a little bit more finesse, I think, to make things happen there. But they've gone for this mid, so they've not saved the Kaze pick to the end. So now they're going to use a couple of bans to try and protect it a little bit. I like the Taliyah ban. I think we just really need to take Feisty off these things that he can be useful on. Honestly, I don't mind them Galio banning anyway, just to like, you're now the least useful you can possibly be, and I'm going to perma 2v1 you, so deal with it.
Galio ban is good because it means Feisty can't play something that might even be able to withstand the Annie.
Yeah.
So it's a nice look, a nice takeaway. I do actually think here Anivia still an option for Feisty. To be completely honest, I think Anivia is really, really good versus Annie because it's really telegraphed. She like puts a little shield on, runs really quick, and you just wall, slow, stun. You outrange the Annie at every given opportunity, right? So it is literally hand on the head, why are you hitting yourself kind of vibes of a Nivea counter pick if we wanted to see that. For red, they should just take a support here. They see the Alistair. So, you know, go for either your Braum, go for a Janna, go for any plethora of support picks that do well into the Alistair and that sync up quite nicely with what you're looking for down on that bot side.
Now they've gone for the Lucian to get the ultimate support counter pick for Frosty here.
It's Milio.
I mean, I was gonna say normally we would assume this is just Milio, so I don't know who we're really kidding right here. If it's not, then
I guess
fine,
the logic is that you could theoretically play Lucian Alistair if you really wanted to. So by locking Milio, like locking the Lucian, you deny that.
Yeah.
But it's now no longer important.
I guess they probably really just want like the Lucian. Maybe they really want the Lucian with this Lee Sin Annie combination just be like maximum, like we're diving in and we're gonna force the issue kind of thing. AD carry wise, I don't know if they could have just opted for like a support or gone like a Yunara or something a bit more flexible and still have that. Who knows? But they really want the Lucian. The Aurora's the last choice for Los Grandes, so Feisty gonna have a bit of burst right there. But they have managed to keep him off the utility at least. And shocker surprise, it is in fact Milio in the last pick. So, with this final kind of composition that we put here, let's look at Lost first. We've got Pantheon Aurora, that's great burst, right? Great 2v1 burst options. They've got the classic Zest Rumble top, and a Senna Alistair bot lane. Now, we don't actually normally see Senna Alistair. You normally see the Seraphine, or even a Sion, or a Cho'Gath, or Nautilus, but the Alistair, for some reason, not so much.
It gives them a way to scale, I think, is the cope that I have. I'm not sold on this bot lane by any means, and it's going to get bullied. It's going to get abused. Like, not going to lie. It's pretty difficult for them to play this bot lane out, and especially when you've got Lucian Milio for a bot lane as good as Morteus Frosty. I do give a little bit more credence over to red here in the ideas that they've gone for. I think that once again they've put themselves on a clock here. They've gone for Annie, Lee Sin, Lucian. So those are your carries moving into the late game. Like, hey, we need to be ahead and we need a soul at 23 minutes. If you don't hit that win condition, you may well struggle. The sort of bright spot this time is that they are going to have Yorick in a side lane. Always Yorick in a side lane. So there's the X factor of this comp here.
Yes, so I think the Yorick, this was the first thing that Red locked down. We were, maybe not necessarily expecting it for Zinz. My thought was they were just going to go for the Cassante to deal with the lane, and then they'd have some frontline to play with here. But ultimately, how they use the Yorick, given that they have this very kind of playmaking, not scaling, mobile-heavy rest of the map, it is going to be quite tricky to keep track of all the red threats potentially if they're actually split pushing properly. But Los Grandes have Pantheon. It's not like they don't have a good way to rotate and punish Yorick trying to overpush in a side lane. So this is going to be, I think, emphasis on red to manage the map as well as they can and not put themselves in a spot to get punished by Los Grandes, who very much were kind of keeping it simple last time, scaled up with the Sivir comp and just sort of won after 25 minutes. So let's see if Red have a different answer here. Remember, we really need to see something from Steps and Kaza here. It's Lee Sin Annie, We didn't see what we needed from them in game one, and this really has to be the way for them to attack Los Grandes player composition-wise, as we do see some scrapping in the bot lane already, but it is to Dudu's success, I think. And they will simply back away.
Bro got 2 souls out of that. That's a big win.
W.
Yeah, and that's the Ackerman combo as well. It's just W and then walk away. If they stick around much longer, though, you can see why this bot lane's...
happen. This is actually what happens, yeah.
Yeah, this bot lane's not going to be easy. Even at level 2, I don't know that it gets much better. I would allow Morteus a pretty YOLO flash if he just sort of flashes over a level 2 Alistar combo and tries to all-in Dudu. That could be pretty funny, pretty advantageous for them. And this lane is all about how well can the low spot lane survive. It reminds me of sort of a bot lane previously was like double lift yellow star for TSM, where they were just absolutely doing nothing, and they would play Ezreal Alistar every game just because they could combo and they could do things for the team regardless of how well they were going. And it feels like this game, it's Senna Alistar this time. If we get out of the lane, Ackerman's going to combo people, Dudu's going to ult people. Like, we care not for this laning phase that you speak of.
Yeah, not interested in that. Ackerman is going to get forward, finds a knock-up, sets up a double last embrace route as well, so the trading's still going decently for Los Grandes. Morteus and Frosty will like to get a bit more purchase as they get a couple of levels and start stacking up that kill potential. Zint's crashing in a sizable top wave there, and Kazi as well, more or less in control of mid. We saw Steps start on that top side as well. Once I'm not looking at Akia anymore, I will tell you where the other jungler has started. He's top side, so we've gone opposite sides so far. And Zint's got to be aware of this, because there's going to be a Pantheon pushing up if he spends too much time up in the lane.
Yeah, it's always funny to see the adverts. It happened in the LPL yesterday, where they were firing, believe it or not, one of the popular LPL sponsors, Durex, advert for an advert while they were trying to look at some of the spells before a crucial team fight. So good that we're getting the bag, CBLOL. Congratulations, well done. Send some of it.
Keep the lights on.
Yeah, send some of it our way. Hey, fan-run broadcast. Let's get a shout out in there as well. We do this for the love of the game, not for any other reason. Subscribe if you've got the spare cash. Why the hell not? You know, we'd like money.
Hit up Durex if you want. Tell them about us. We'll do it. As we do see another aggressive move onto Morteus. Going to get stunned up by Ackerman here, and it seems like they are still weathering this pretty darn well. Red, you can see them kind of pressuring across all 3 lanes. Pantheon actually stepping into this top side. There is going to be a ward for Zinz that spots him coming out of the brush, but isn't going to give him enough notice as he goes in for this trade. And now the Pantheon arrives, not much mana to speak of, and Zest will flash out of the Dark Procession. Comet Spear lands in for a stun, and it's first blood for Curse.
All right. Really good pickup here by Los on the top side. Again, we were criticizing Curse coming into the day and sort of saying, well, this is the area of sort of not expertise more so than anything else, but he's been able to find 2 really good ganks so far in both of these games. Game number 2, no exception. And I think that Kaze, Steps, this duo that we've highlighted for Red as their big playmaking duo, they need to step up. They've got Lee Sin Annie. Like, come on, let's see something happen.
Yeah, I need you guys to kill someone real quick. I'm not seeing you guys kill anyone yet, and I'm going to need to see that. Frosty is going to get stunned up by Alistar here. And Dudu, let's chaining that CC. Milio does have a heal, clutching out that play as Morteus arrives just in time, but now Milio's going to have to leave him in a 1v2 as well.
So the power of this Senna Alistar lane, I guess, is that it can actually sustain the Alistar passive plus Senna Qs. Now typically Senna actually quite a mana-gated champion, even as the AD carry. There's, I guess, presence of mind is there, but you know, no mana flow, no extra regen here for Dudu. But they've been able to weather the storm of that bot lane. Morteus to go back to base and get a Sheen in at some stage, so has a little bit of an opportunity to try to play these fights out. But now that recall's coming through, Dudu going to walk towards most likely, pickaxe in for a static shiv, make sure that you can just begin to not interact with the Lucian when that first item comes up. You Q, auto the wave, and job done.
Absolutely, since summoning the Maiden in that top side to keep the pressure onto Zest is going to crash another wave in. And backing away in a timely fashion as Curse is arriving once again to try and layer down that punishment. Shouldn't be able to stop the base. So Zint's going to escape danger this time. We can see Steps hovering around bot side, sitting squarely on a ward. So Feisty's probably not going to be in too much danger right now. And Steps doesn't have the ult quite yet either. Kazi does have Flash. He has Tibbers. And Red wanting to try and find a play off this mid setup, but do not have the vision to do so.
Yeah, and I think that though there was an angle there to try and bait, but I think the problem for Los, if they try and bait that, is that they are almost certainly giving up one person because the Lee Sin Annie probably just one-shot you. So we'll see if they can get this ball rolling. I think that at the minute, again, sorely lacking in terms of anything that they've been able to accomplish through this early game, and honestly, same thing through the series as well. So we do need to see Steps and Kaze begin to do something.
The mid-vision control is crazy for Los. They have all of the sides locked up. Wherever Steps comes from, he's spotted as Curse is going to run slap bang into him. Again, no level 6 for Steps. Level 6 for Curse, as Zinz is going to have the first rotation from top line. Kaze flashes in with a stun, with the feisty ultimate, drops Steps down below, and blind over the wall, nails him. Feisty's Aurora walks away the winner, and Red push for the play, but it's misjudged.
Alrighty, 1-0 here. Los again coming out to a lead in the early stages of this one. With yet another composition on Red's side that is almost governed by their ability to make plays early on, and decidedly less so as it gets later on into the game. But Steps face checks a level 6 Pantheon. Curse more than happy to take that skirmish, which may be a little bit surprising, really. Lee Sin, typically a very powerful duelist. Bot lane.
Pantheon ulting right into bot side. No hesitation from Curse, and Morteus falls. The map starting to fall apart for Red.
Curse is on one this series, and that is really good to see. He ended yesterday on an absolute heater, and he's starting in that exact same form up against the Red Canids. Expectation that Steps would be able to come into this series, kind of put Curse back in his place, but that has not been the case whatsoever, as the Red Canids have just really not looks like any form of themselves that they were through the regular season.
It's absolutely true, right? Since it's going to go for a trade onto Zest, it's going to, once again, the 1v1 relatively comfortable, but that's not been what this game has been about. And we'll all remember that Curse, just last split, was a Red Canids jungler. You know, sent down in favor of Steps, picked up by Los instead, fitting into this new formula for him. And he's had some ups and some downs, and there's still some work to be done, but he is absolutely crushing it today as Kaze now under threat. Curse once again arrives where he needs to be. Frosty is there with a Milio ultimate to get him to safety. The Senate ultimate, not quite enough to get the kill over the line for Kaze, but he's not back to base.
Well played by Frosty there. Breath of Life, summon a heal, couple of shields thrown in the mixer as well. Doesn't mean you can get out to safety there, but you can just see that it's Los dictating everything. And the Red Canids are sort of sat watching, waiting for the next play to happen without finding anything themselves. Maybe now they'll get something down on this bot side. Ackerman Hex flash over to protect and buy some time for Dudu. But I think Ackerman on the wrong side. Dudu might just fall.
Or root onto Steps, holding the Q right now. Who's going to take the aggro? A kickback beautifully placed on the Dragon's Rage, and Dudu drops low, but Red, they still have a wave to play with, but they'll have to reset it if they want. No mana for Morteus. And as good as the Lee Sin ult was, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, Q doesn't connect onto the center afterwards, so there's no follow-up onto the target that you're seeking. It's Herald for, or Grubs rather, for pretty much nothing. There's now Curse waiting off in the wings. Not going to be able to get in range to go for Kaze. The Drake's still up. Red spent their time looking for a bot lane play instead of taking that dragon. The sort of guaranteed play would have been to find that dragon. Instead, they went for a play down on the bot side. It burned Dudu's Q, actually, and that was about it, you know?
Yeah, it really did burn his Q, that's true. That was on cooldown now. And yeah, I mean, they are going for kills, right? As you say, eschewing the dragons, which did give them a boost in last game, but, you know, admittedly did not win that game for them in any stretch of the imagination. They're trying to push, and Steps is trying to get active on the map, looking for kills mid, couldn't find it. Looking for kills bot lane, couldn't find it. And we're still now behind the curve, whereas Curse is just, you know, swaggering around the lane, going to any lane he chooses, finds kills, walks away, ults bot lane. Like, he's absolutely crushing it right now. As Ackerman covering off this mid lane as well. Kaze always under threat, and Los making so sure that they have control over around this mid lane.
Yeah, and I will just highlight as well that with Curse having that ulti back up, another play sort of seemingly in the offing with that first item picked up, pings her toward that bot side. So Red do need to be careful down there. But one of the things that we want to track is how well Zest does, as, you know, in these playoff series has struggled when the lights get a bit too bright. Currently, though, in the lower bracket, having a stellar performance, and even in this game, you know, game one, we saw him get the counter pick, so we can give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But we're going bot lane once again.
Pantheon surely about to come through right here as a last embrace onto Morteus connects. In comes Curse, steps waiting in the wings to see what he can do, kicks back Curse
TP's
instantly.
in as well.
TP's in from Annie and from Rumble as Feisty's walked his way down. There is no Yorick. This is 4v5. Dudu's already found Kaze and Feisty slamming the damage across the top. Zest picks up a kill on Milio and Red, what seems like the 4th or 5th time this game, sent packing.
I mean, are we just calling this already? I feel like this game is already done for. The Red Canids have got no late game consistent damage. They're exclusively reliant on Zinz, who, you know, has done, I guess, fine in that top side, got cheese ganked early on by a full clear gank and is pushing in that top wave, but he didn't choose to TP down there. And honestly, I think quite rightly so. That fight was already over regardless of a Yorick. But there's no late game. There's no chance that Red come back into this game. They are in this position where, honestly, I'd like this game to be done in 25 minutes or sort of stalled out to 30 or 40 by Red making plays. This is a keep butting your head against the wall to see what sticks because the game doesn't get easier for them. Let's get another look at the replay. It's Ackerman that goes in. Initial fight looks pretty good, but Kaze TP's in, and his team don't have the ability to buy that space back for him. It's way too deep. He does get Tibbers down, but that's about it here. And again, even with Zest being there, I don't think that he was a big difference maker. I don't think that if Zinz turns up, it turns the fight all that much. Los going to lose out on their first dragon, but 12 minutes into the game, that's 32 minutes before the soul comes online. Again, if this game's still going at 32 minutes, I think Red have done a great job.
Yeah, it's a bit of a CBLOL first rake and not what Red need if they're going to use it to get back into this game. Zinz does have a Triforce ready to go, and he's probably going to strip that top tower off before too much longer, unless Curse really dedicates some time up there. But so much value has been accrued in bottom mid lane as well. And Curse with the individual lead growing over steps, that Red running out of answers. They are at least trying to make plays, it seems, a little more than last time, but even less successfully. So we're actually further behind than we were. They came into the mid game even last time and then ran out of time on the scaling war, but now they put themselves at a pretty significant disadvantage, and Lowe's continuing to be unbothered by whatever Red have to throw at them.
Well, 2.6k gold lead for them right now. Evenest area of the map is this top side, where that Trinity Force is sort of the difference maker. They've already called the swap. Zinz, you've been demoted to bot lane. You go and enjoy whatever it is that they throw at you down there. And I don't mind that, right? Like, those plates theoretically are a little bit easier to get for the Yorick, so it's easier for him to get gold. And there's nobody there currently for Los, but there are 3 people topside, and they do see Kaze.
Oh, they're dropping a lot of ults onto him. Frosty's trying to get in range. A flash into a stun and Tibbers, but it's just out of tower range. Ackerman arrives, but the Milio.
It's messy.
Kaze topped up. Now the TP in from Zinz is used. They got the slow onto Alistair, and this looks like it should be a success. The Unbreakable will keep Ackerman alive for a little longer, but eventually, surely this is going to go down. Frosty, in fact, has to take it as mid lane, the AD carries are slapping into each other. Steps looking for an angle to ruin this fight, but Dudu will simply skate himself away as the counterplay below starts on top side. Kaze's already a bit low for this one, but a Dark Procession locks up the Los Grandes' aggression. Very nicely placed by the Yorick as Morteus drops in to try and get the 1v1 barrier for Dudu. He's already used the culling. Can he get one more Relentless Pursuit? Runs out of vision, needs one more auto, needs one more anything. Dashes in to secure the kill as Red, now with a re-engage on top side, they've got 2 more kills. Finally, the Canids fly into action. Feisty gets a counter kill onto Kaze as the top lane turret now the focus on Los Grandes. Have they stuck around too late for this? Steps gets a Q in, looks to dash forward to get some more damage down into Feisty, but misses the last resonating strike. There's no ult for Ackerman. Do they have the damage to get another? Yes, they do.
Just bash, bash, bash your head against the wall, Red. Something's got to stick. Look at that gold graph, Trajan. They've just swung it 4k in their favor in the span of seconds. They are right back in control. They now have the advantage. Curse fires his ulti for the love of the game, and Red Canids are showing to us why they came out as first seed.
And I think it is important to know that the reason this has happened is because Dark Knights, because you said Lost Sweep is real in the chat. You have manifested this. I want you to know that, as Red Canids, happy to receive the spiritual energy. They look like a completely revitalized team. That fight had about 3 or 4 segments to it, and Red were able to come out on top in every one. Kaze now looking to keep the pace high, goes forward for a Proto Belt stun onto Ackerman, does steal the Alistair ultimate, but he's going to walk away.
I'm so glad that we've, you have to paint this picture because Red finally worked out what they needed to do, right? You'd mentioned that they were making these plays. They just weren't going well for them. And the and the time that they, make the play and it does go well for them, look at what happens. Like, they've now got complete map control. They're pushing in on all 3 lanes. And they've got a really good opportunity now to try and push the pace of this game in their favor. Morteus coming out with that 1v1 means that he's now actually very ahead of Roodood. The XP's in his favor. The item disparity is massive as well, as now Zints doesn't face check, but sort of smells some things up right there. Level leads across the board for Red, and now Los in a little bit of trouble.
Steps back onto Curse. Lovely Dragon's Rage to get into range of Morteus. They need to get that DPS down. They'll force the flash out of Pantheon. And Red, suddenly, everything seems to be going right. Kaze moving into a possible flank position onto this Senna, who does not feel super comfortable. You can see trending to the opposite side of the lane to where that Annie is and checks it to find out what's really afoot here.
Yep, nice, I guess, spidey senses for Roodood there, as he does manage to stay safe underneath this tier 1 turret. As far as stacks go, 44 currently for the Senna, and a reminder for those of you not initiated, firstly, Lucian does damage. Secondly, 20 stacks equals 20 range for a Senna at every increment of 20. So currently did a stat with 40 bonus range, which feels not amazing, but not bad all the same.
Yeah, the static shiv does allow Roodood to, as you say, kind of just not interact with the lane too much, obviously. And Morteus will try to interact with you as... We're back. Never fear. Don't worry, everybody. We're still going just in time as well. We haven't missed any kills, but we're in the middle of a 5v5. Steps has gotten deep for Cursa. Zest has to commit fully in and goes down to Red. So it looks like we got to just skip a couple of minutes of faffing about and got straight into the team
That's
fight.
what we like to see here. Great stuff. Well played. Everybody involved. Feisty, though, the sort of one member of Los currently with a gold lead, not quite able to make the difference in that fight. It is Zest stepping just a little bit too close, and I guess as this Rumble, it feels like you're the one who's most likely to be taken in that pretty rough spot, to be completely honest with you. We will get a replay of actually what happened. It's Los who started it up.
Right. Don't worry, guys. We're back in again. Now, in the interim, Zintz has died somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a single kill for Los, and it looks like Red have not been slowed down necessarily by this, with Kaze cracking the bot lane turret, and they're still 1.5k ahead. Lost did manage to equal the Dragon stacks as well. The Hextech Rift, which Red would love to get on board to keep themselves scaling up right here, but they've got a lead. They've won a couple of fights, but it seems like they're not running away with the game just yet.
Not quite. This is still scary, I think, for Red. Obviously, we painted this picture coming in that their composition needs to do well. Early on, importantly. Now, 21 minutes into a game, they didn't even find the second dragon. I am worried about this Red composition, but if Morteus can put up numbers, he's the consistent quote-unquote DPS that you can find. It's not a bad composition for Lucian either, because everybody's short range. So that outranging philosophy that typically we see Lucians struggle with, not actually a thing here.
Yeah, you can still drop a culling, and there's not too much they can do about it. There is a Hex Flash coming in from Ackerman, though, and a Relentless Pursuit used by Morteus. He doesn't have another dash now, but backstepped on Feisty's aggression. Ackerman seeing what he can do, but a stun lands onto Roodood. They don't have enough damage to kill him, though, and Kaze has wound up miles behind enemy lines, as Red now have to back off. Oh, it's a beautiful equalizer from Zest, burning down Morteus, forcing the barrier under the turret as well. And I don't know how that went so wrong for Red, but it certainly went wrong.
Hey, man, hopefully we get a replay and we can sort of talk through the issues that befelled Red in that setup. Nobody's got this mid-tier 1 turret just yet, and you can see that both of these teams are pretty eager to get their hands on them. I mean, for Red here, it's literally anybody could walk up and auto that, and it probably falls regardless. So it's Loud slowing the roll once again of the Red Canids, which is vitally important, making sure that they aren't able to continue that snowball, that Morteus doesn't have the access, the agency to go crazy in these team fights is going to continue to be something that's really, really important, because Los kind of flubbed that engage to begin with. Feisty went pretty aggressive and didn't really find anything for it. Kaze responds by doing the same sort of thing, but that then puts him right behind an Alistair who just headbutts him under the turret. So we have got a Dragon now in the offing for Red Canids. Feels like Los aren't particularly bothered about this. Feisty and Zinz are both top lane with TP, but nobody from Los Grandes has actually done anything about that.
Red going to peel back, it seems, and Zinz given the space for Los Grandes to push plates if they wish, knows that Curse could potentially ult up if he wants to, but actually, they've set up a death brush, and Kaze goes aggressive once again onto the equalizer. Ackerman with a follow-up knock-up, the Tibbers comes out, but now Feisty's TP'd in, and Red need to get out of there ASAP as the Aurora looks for a burst, forces the flash from Milio. Mid-turret under threat, Los Grandes with a pick onto the mid laner once again, and Red trying to take a bit more position around this mid lane. They did get the Dragon at least, but it's another lost mid laner.
I mean, we just continually struggling with this composition. Zest.
Steps. Ooh, threatens the kill right there. Dodge back to safety. The Lee Sin showing its maneuverability right there. And Zest now barely scraping away here. This could give them a chance to knock down this mid lane turret. So Red not quite out of it just yet. But Kaze, I think, surely, they just had no idea that was there. Kaze dashing forward into his own death.
Somebody's permanently on this mid lane duty, which is rather funny to me, to make sure that this tier 1 turret never falls. But it is Los who are consistently at this stage actually getting the better of these team fights. And it's all because the 5v5 for Red just doesn't really work. They have a great 4v4. They don't have a great 5v5. Kaze, by the time he actually gets his Tibbers down, I think maybe we're seeing it again here.
Oh dear, they're really piling on the pressure to this Red mid laner. Steps arrives to kick Curse back to the turret, but there's a minion avoiding the aggro take. TP in from Zinz as well, and now Curse is starting to suffer. Killing spree for Steps. Morteus trying to get into range. Almost has the culling, drops it now and chunks down Zest, but Ackerman flashes over the wall, knocks the Lucian back into the meat grinder that is the rest of Los, manages to trade his life as Ackerman on the front line. Feisty flies in with the between two worlds, sets up the double, another Ackerman engaged to get Frosty knocked up against the wall as Dudu can step in for the DPS. And Red, they fight back in that play after losing the mid laner, but it winds up as a Los Grandes ace.
It's an Alistair masterclass. Ackerman consistently on fire in this one. Knocked Kaze underneath the tier 1 turret in the mid lane in the last fight, and sets up Morteus in this one. The power of this Alistair, the power of this late game composition that Los have gone for themselves, and really the fact that at this stage in the game, Red are just all but outscaled. Let's take a look at how it started off, though. It's Kaze who, in fairness, he's trying to put some wards down to keep himself safe, but what he doesn't realise is there's a Pantheon somewhere nearby, and he's just going to get absolutely roasted. Now, it's a big commit onto Curse, and I think that Red overplay their hand by committing so much to what is ultimately a jungler for Los. But who you need to keep your eyes on here is Ackerman. He walks around, goes into Fog of War, immediately channels Hex Flash, knocks up Morteus, punts him into 3 people who, in fairness, the fact that Morteus gets Zest there, a pretty big win. But as soon as they lose the Lucian, this fight's over. And Ackerman, MVP performance from him in this fight, keeps the team alive, and not only that, but pushes them into a very good position.
It is, as we say, and this time it's Los Grandes' turn to laugh it up at the end of that fight. Ackerman, as we said, the glue that holds this Los Grandes roster together, setting everyone up for success one by one. You can see everyone's getting a slice of that damage graph on Los Grandes, with Ackerman, the one guy holding it all together, as Kaze, a lonely 47, again, not having a chance to really contribute to these fights. We're still not seeing the mid-jungle duo that we need Red to bring to bear if they want to deal with Los in this series. They're not out of this one just yet, but they find themselves once again with playmaking mid-jungle and behind out of lane.
And I want to sort of look back at the draft here a little bit and sort of think about what Red went for. They lost the first game, which means they got their choice of either first pick or side select. They chose that they were going to pick second so that they could have R5, that crucial counter pick. And then they locked in a bot lane duo that they could have taken on 2-3 anyway. When really that 5th pick should be used to break the game open. You've got who we perceive to be probably the best mid laner in the league in your ranks, who's getting outplayed very consistently and outperformed in these team fights by Feisty, a player who, don't get me wrong, is by no means a slouch, but definitely not somebody we would be expecting to go 4-0-4, getting on for a flame horizon up against Kaze.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like maybe just the hyperbolic time chamber of the lower bracket run sending Feisty through the likes of the likes of Cody in the mid lane. He's had to withstand him in 2 different best of 5s, and now is able to deal with some of the strongest mid laners that we have to send to bear. Kaze not able to get a foothold in this matchup. The gold graph swinging backwards and forwards. The mid lane turret is still holding on, but surely now can we get a minion to auto at once?
There we go.
There it is. Roodood not able to hold it this time as Red head down into the bot side river, but an equalizer catching them on the rotation. Curse can't find a stun. Red had to burn some summoners to live there, but they can reposition.
Okay.
Kaze finds a stun onto Curse. There's a dragon to play for as well. Red could look to get onto Hextech Soul Point. Zest no ultimate. Feisty looking for a fight position. Frosty not too healthy, but can sit in the back line. They're threatening onto Aurora, but they don't get much damage down as the Maiden falls. Kaze looks to another stun. Ackerman finally calls the shots, goes for the engage. A root now dragged back by Steps. The Senate ultimate chunking them down as well. And Red just getting shoulder checked out of this river. Los Grandes in control of the Drake.
No culling. How do they even try to start this fight? The Lucian looking there to maybe get some poke down, but they're just getting forced away. Ackerman uses his Unbreakable Will. They get Dawning Shadow over the top, and that's pretty much it to force Red away. Again, one of these situations where if they had a soul at this point, it might become playable. But even then, it's still really difficult for them. 3 items deep on Morteus, but he's got no real frontline. Zinz knows he can't go up and step into that position. You know, he's picked Yorick. This is one of the pitfalls of this champion. It's not a team fighter. Has always been, will always be, in its current state, a great split-pushing champion. But that's not what Red are doing with him. Zinz is being forced to group up, being asked to go to these plays, and it's just not working out for them. I mean, you can't really expect him to do too much on the side lane. There's a Pantheon from the top rope pretty much at every given opportunity.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've drafted Yorick, and you've not really got the angle to play for it.
It's a bit of a nightmare for Zinz, who's had a solid series so far. Sadly, not able to really get enough impact to turn the tide for Red. As now they are trying to forge a path back out through their mid lane. Back down in the gold deficit, almost 3k to Los. Another long timer before the next Hextech. So no real soul threat to play for in the near future. There is a Baron potentially as Red. They have started to find some more success in finding picks and plays, but Los Grandes then firing back themselves and playing at a very kind of collected, reserved pace, not over-rushing at any stage, but finding every opportunity that is afforded to them.
I mean, look at now at Dudu as well. You know, talking about the difference in AD carries, the fact that the Lucian should be the powerhouse this game. Dudu's got 100 stacks, that's 100 range, plus he's working towards his Infinity Edge. He's going to be overcapped on crit very heavily, and Zinz trying to split push. Let's see how that works.
Yeah, this is what happens. Down comes the equalizer, in comes Curse, and it's just as easy as that. As soon as the Yorick tries to do what the champion does, it goes very badly wrong. Red looks like they might be thinking about some sort of Baron, but they've not really started this up very quickly, so they're going to have to just take a control ward or two and back away.
Yeah, you need to be hitting that the second you see the Pantheon ulti. As far as what they actually did, they just kind of cleared some wards and then walked out. So it's a death for nothing, and Zinz is going to, again, sort of be left out in the lurch here on this Yorick pick. Doesn't really have the agency to function with the team, and now Los know that they've got a members advantage. Zinz has no TP, so they're going to start this Baron up for themselves. It is very slow without the Rumble being here, but I think this is more so to buy time for Zest and to try and get a fight started.
Through. Ackerman is wide over there, but the instant committal from Loss forces the retreat from Red. Flashes and dashes over the wall. Zest and Ackerman hunting down Steps. The Senate ultimate crashes into the rest of Red. They've made it out alive, but Steps now unlikely to survive this one. Dashes forward. Feisty finds one. Steps next to follow as well. It's a double for Aurora. And a Curse pickup on the other side as well. Los Grandes now with not really anything that could stop them going for this Baron if they wanted to start it up again.
I think they will. To be honest with you, I think that sounds like a great idea. Dudu's even got the time to finish off the crab, much to his jungler's dismay, and 5 members strong. Los now going to be able to take themselves the Baron. Talk about a turnaround. Trajan, this Los Grandes roster, end of Split 1, and it ended as the Super Kids. You know, they were doing so well, topping out the regular season. Rogue lost to Pain Gaming, but felt like they were going to be unstoppable, moved into playoffs, immediately bombed out. And this time around, They look like they're following that exact same trajectory, look like they're following that exact same play pattern. But in actual fact, they were just playing for the lower bracket run. And at the minute, they look like they're on one hell of a tear.
Peaking exactly where they needed to. They've only got to get through Red before its grand finals awaiting them. Furia looking like a very, very strong opponent for them to go up against. But we kind of thought Red would be as well. Seems like the upper bracket is really where Red loves to be. The lower bracket not so favorable for them. An organization that has not been to finals or even had a title in a long, long time. Perennial 3rd and 4th placers through many different eras of this organization now. They're always stopped at that last step before getting to fight for the true glory here, as now they're looking for a catch onto Los, but Curse catches out Kaze, and he just gets annihilated before he gets a chance to look for a play. Second stun from Pantheon, Feisty splashing the ultimate across Red to force them back again. Steps, goes for a re-engage. The kickback, though, doesn't have the damage that they need it, and a Rumble ultimate puts paid to any further Red action here. They give up the mid lane turret to the Baron push.
And that just about sums up this game here. Steps went for the kick, and it saves the mid laner instead of killing him. Morteus almost taken out underneath his own tier 3 turret as Feisty steps forward, knocks Steps down. And with the Baron at their backs, Trajan, this could very well be 2-0 Los.
I think there's not much question for that now. 34 minutes on the clock. Los Grandes will not be drawn into the chaos of Red. They know exactly what their win conditions are. They know how to counter what Red are doing as well. They've had all the answers today, as Red mounting one last-ditch defense of their base in game 2. Baron waves crashing in. First Nexus turret down. Red, do they have a play from Kaze? Steps still 20 seconds on this Lee Sin. The death timer seeming like an eternity as both Nexus turrets fall. The Nexus is exposed. Red, they've been pushed away from their own fountain. They're barely even trying to defend it as game 2 is wrapped up.
And the minions there just did all the hard work. There were 4 cannon creeps wailing away at that Nexus turret and then immediately down onto the Nexus as well. Los Grandes 2-0 now up against Red in our lower final. Remember, both of these teams have already punched themselves a ticket to a fully funded boot camp in Korea for MSI. But a win here sees them go up against Furia, a team that on their day can definitely throw a lead or two. And the Split 1 champions still up for grabs here.
Yeah, certainly I think before playoffs, this Furia was looking somewhat suspect quite a lot of the time. Playoffs, they have managed to really get themselves in order and have not wasted any time sweeping aside their opponents to get to the finals. Los Grandes had to put the work in, had to keep that development going. But it really does feel like they're not necessarily gated into lane dominance, mid-game pressure, snowball for the win. Twice now, they have outlasted Red. They have received the pressure of an early game composition. They've outplayed it vision-wise, they've outplayed it mechanically, and they've known how to, how and when to push their advantages. It's a different Los, winning in different ways, still using the same strong tools. This is what they need to be showing us if they're gonna mount a real fight against Furia.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about this and think it would be really, really positive if we send one team off to international and they can play one thing, they do it really well. I mean, it's even better if Los here can show us that actually we're not just a one-trick pony. We've got many different tools in our arsenal that can quite simply overtake whatever it is that Furia are going to throw at us for tomorrow. So, next week. But I think that for Los Grandes here, an excellent start. 2-0, obviously very good. Now it's about being in a position that they've been so many times before, just seeing it over the line.
Yep, they have been 2-0 up in the playoffs before, and we all remember that Loud series. Sometimes things do not go as smoothly as they might seem. Red do have another chance to keep themselves alive right here, to change the narrative about their own shortcomings in playoffs, which has a risk of becoming a little bit of a pattern for them. We'll go to a break for now. We've got Game 3 coming up in just a moment, everybody, so do not go anywhere. Let's see how this one resolves after the break. Welcome back, everybody, to the CBLOL English. We are preparing for game number 3. I have got I would say it's popcorn, but it's not. It's my favorite cereal, but I'm going to stop eating it just for you guys
Wow.
to talk about the game instead. Los Grandes, 2-0 up. Red Canids pulling a generational flop right now, only matched by last split's generational flop in the lower bracket finals. So they really need to try and get something sorted out here, because this, as I said before, this is becoming a pattern and not a good one.
It's a presently twice in a generation flop for the Red Canids.
Yeah, I'm so tired of these once in a generation flops occurring in my society right now, Red. You need to stop this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we get 2 generational flops from Red in the same generation. It's truly magnificent. And you know what? For Red, like they've picked themselves up in this third game, the same angle where they've got last pick. If they last pick, like Ash Seraphine, I'm gonna lose my mind. Let's give Kaze something spicy, something that he can carry a game with. Steps, buddy, you've lost the pass now. It's time for you to play Xin Zhao and deal with that.
Actually.
Okay?
Yeah.
Kaze, pick something cool. Use this last pick to do something interesting.
Yeah, if we could have a little Silas Sejuani game or something, then, you know, let's lock that in, right? Something very executable for Steps and a melee mid laner for Kaze. Let's do that. As we are into the picks and bans, same bans as expected before. Los this time actually taking the Jace away themselves. We do have Red on the Red side, but they have first pick this time, so there is a little bit of a change of direction, and let's see what they can do with the power of this. Actually, no.
This is the same. Los have first pick.
It's the same. So Red's still trying to get a counter. We didn't really like the quote-unquote value they got out of it last time. Perhaps there's a new solution here.
Yes. Let's hope so. Right, the Neferi gets locked in early, though, for Curse, and I think, you know what? Given the series Curse has had, I'm willing to extend him a Neferi, to be completely honest. Yeah. You know, start of the day, if he'd have locked in Neferi, I'd have been quite skeptical, but he's played a really good Pantheon game, a really solid, serviceable Nocturne game. So, Neferi, you know what? You get this opportunity now, whereas, you know, we're looking at Steps and we're going, well, you've had these 2 playmakers and you've done nothing, so no, you don't get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Neferi, is it's weirdly a champ that Curse can just play. He just has a Neferi. Even back when this was like, he was being promoted and they were doing the Red Academy swap, they were still doing the previous era and they just swapped Aegis out for Curse. He looked pretty suspicious on Vi and such, as he still kind of does, but the Neferi was one that he always had, and he's had a good Neferi last earlier on in this playoffs as well. So I'd have good trust for him here. Now, the Twisted Fate coming out for Zinz, we'd assume... I was about to say we'd assume it goes top lane. It can definitely go both. We have seen Kaze and some of our mid laners, Tuts particularly, is making great use out of this champion. Steps has actually robbed Curse of another Curse special in the Trundle. So assuming this series continues after game 3, we have taken another comfort pick away from the lowest jungler. But as of first 1-2, Twisted Fate, Trundle, what does this tell you about the Red composition? What do you think we're cooking here?
I don't know. I'm just happy that Steps is on a Trundle-esque champion instead of a...
You can't really mechanically misplay Trundle. Yeah. It's quite hard.
This is pretty straightforward. We should be getting some good stuff from the Trundle here, and the Twisted Fate is very flexible. It really depends on where it goes as to what it offers. Right, mid lane, it's going to be that mage who's looking to roam bot, roam top. If it's top lane, it's going to be an on-hit marksman who does weird things up there as well. So we kind of need to wait for the rest of the Red draft to flesh itself out before we can really start identifying where and what the Twisted Fate is looking to offer. But it is Nico locked in, has a 33% win rate so far through the CBLOL in split number 1, so not the greatest offing from the Nico champion thus far. Obviously still does do a lot of engaging, and I do think that for Los here, they've drafted themselves currently a mid-game composition, and it's also really short-ranged currently, right? The Corki, the Nico, the Neferi, they all want to go forward, they all want to go in, and they've all got very little range to be able to do anything.
Yes, in terms of, you know, contesting over a 5v5 wave or sieging a turret, this is not necessarily what we'd expect Los to be doing with a composition like this. Red, they do have good map movements with a TF. Trundle can obviously scoot his way around using the Frozen Kingdom to make quick progress around the map as well. We have seen Frosty go into an early rel now that the Nico came out, so it's double engages on the bot side. No enchanters in sight as the second round of bans begins. Syndra taken away from Red, trying to strip away some solid options for Feisty, though there is going to be at least a Talia or a Galio available. And then for Los, they've taken away the Jhin from Morteus. Is Yunara bad now, or are we just low prioring it today?
I
guess like we're kind of moving quickly back to Corki and away to other things before we go back to Yunara?
So Enchanter nerfs lower the value, I suppose, is the logic there. So Yunara Lulu less inclined to be picked up with the nerfs to those enchanter items, builds, etc., etc. The Zoe taken away though does mean that, I mean, this is the biggest Galio angle that we've ever seen for Los, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think the problem with that is that the second you lock Galio, you give Kaze like a smolder angle or something like that, so you kind of have to wait. And I do think that Red lock in, oh, okay, not that champion, but that's what they've gone for. And this is flexible as well, so this doesn't really reveal us anything. This could be Mel bot, this could be Mel mid, could be Twisted Fate mid, could be Twisted Fate top. Kaze has just his pick of any champion right now to see which one he wants. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm more inclined to think this Mel goes bot lane and the Twisted Fate goes top lane. We'll see what it is Lost ran their composition out with. The Renekton, the blind, stable into that top side versus the Twisted Fate might struggle, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Zest has had a solid series so far today. The 1v1 prowess is still very much on display, so we'll see if Zinz wants to take the TF or choose a different option. I think for Red, taking something like a Smolder would be exciting, obviously, with the range advantage they're already playing for. They don't really have a way to save him from an Afiri dive, would be my only worry, unless Frosty's on full peel duty, as the Victor comes through for Feisty. Okay. So it's a very standard kind of, one-size-fits-all mage. Just slap it into the middle of any comp, and it's at least fine. Mel doesn't love the Victor matchup, I'll be honest. So if they could find something better to put against it, I would probably prefer that. Maybe that's just farming out the way with TF and letting Kaze move. Yeah,
I think that's the play here. You send the Mel to the bot side. We'll take something to hopefully best the Renekton in that side lane. And then we'll try and work our way through what is a tricky team fight for both sides, I think. I think that the Red Canids here now in a little bit of a predicament because they don't actually have a consistent DPS threat. Mel bot is great at neutralizing bot lane, so it's going to do well versus the Corki versus the Nico to make sure that they can't really get the ball rolling down on that bot side. But on the flip side of things, you have to remember that they don't actually have a true consistent DPS threat. They don't have that marksman that's going to see them through to the late game, and they're going to be relying on a lot of burst, a lot of quick-powered combos before anything actually successful will go their way.
Yeah, I do think that, given the generally short nature of the comp, excluding the Victor, but the rest of Los are fairly short range still. The Rel is pretty happy playing into this, right? You can play with the Solo Snare to potentially route any engagements, to use a W to fend off any dives, and you do have that Rel, which is very strong at peeling if that's the way that Frosty wants to use it. See the Red fans still in high spirits in the audience. They know the comeback is still possible right here. Red have been on a very, very strong split in Split 1. Sadly, the playoffs proving to be a tough taskmaster for them once again, as Los Grandes continuing to just build momentum week after week, series after series, and one more game in front of them for a potential grand final slot. I believe the first grand finals opportunity this organization has ever had in the CBLOL. They've been at least 1/3 or 4th place split back in the Natuno days, but for Los Grandes, this would be a new record.
Oh. That orange hue, not an accent feature that we've gone for today. That is, we're pausing.
Yes, it's not just we're not filming in Mexico right now. This is it's just a pause.
No standoffs allowed today. And
they have Twisted Fate, so kind of. But,
well, you know what? That's true.
There's a short
no Graves.
No.
Graves feels like the most the next best thing that we would go for.
The most high noon champion.
Yeah. Yasuo. Come on, there we go.
I suppose. I suppose anyone with a high noon skin, I suppose, can be high noon if we allow them to.
Thresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
when the high noon skin line turned into like demons, I guess, like skeletons wearing cowboy hats, which I'm all here for. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against high noon Thresh, but we did start with it's a cowboy and ended up with this is a burning skeleton with a sort of a cowboy hat on.
Well, he's got a whip. That's what cowboys do. They got lassos.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he's got a lasso. That's true. I'll give it to him this time.
He's a wrangler.
This time, Thresh. He does. And then Senna has like a sort of horse gun. So I guess the horse really sells
turns,
it there.
Turns the gun into a horse. They really do just make things up, don't they, Riot Games? And
they do just be releasing anything, bro.
There's an
been
Orn
out for a
skin
long time.
that's a train conductor. Like they're just they've given up.
Might be the best skin in the game, that one.
Currently, there's a spaghetti Vel'Koz skin. Vel'Koz has to have the most unserious skins, like percentage-wise, of any champion in the game.
Yeah, the mustache
Definitely not
disguised
Vel'Koz.
Vel'Koz and spaghetti yellow Vel'Koz are truly inspired. All up props to the skin team. They do release some absolute heaters sometimes.
Yeah.
As we are onto the rift here, pause has been resolved. Zest trying to get in, slicing onto Zinz, even dicing as well. But the Mininar, of course, is a bit of a fiend in that early stage, wins the trade on the back half. Can't connect the boomerang, though.
Yeah, I think if that boomerang connects, it's a real bad trade. The fact that it doesn't, it's a moderately bad trade for Zest on that top side, but it's about sending the message, Trajan, that he will dice on you regardless of how you play the lane. Now, small thing here, and I am going to call Kaze out for it, is that he's currently got 0 farm of the first 4, as Feisty is absolutely dumpstering him here, and he's pushed the wave under the turret, one of the places that TF typically quite good at farming from, but only at that level 2 marker. So finally ticks over, we'll have access to the wildcards and be able to do something quite nice now, and in way of trying to get CS.
Yeah, Red's still looking a little bit out of sorts, I must say, especially in this mid lane. Kaze was having such a blinder of a split. Sadly, has really struggled in playoffs, and we do see a flash over the wall from Steps. Now, we saw this from Sorolu earlier on in the playoffs, and it went so badly, but this looks like it might be better. There's a flash gold card, at least trades the summoner with Los Grandes mid laner, and Steps isn't going to need to do any more right here. But he lost his flash for this too. A Zinz struggling against the Renekton, and he's barely going to survive. Bot lane, we can also see some CC chains coming through. Morteus and Frosty trying to fight back, but Frosty's in fact come out the worse for wear here.
I mean, Los are just dumpstering them across all 3 lanes. Feisty has sent Kaze packing already. Zest has forced the flash out of Zinz on the top side. Now going to take another great trade as he gets the TP out of the top laner of the Red Canids. And Los are working their way towards a very quick 3-0 and a date with Furia in the finals.
Not what we expected coming into today. Oh my goodness, Los Grandes looking a little bit unstoppable right now. This early game already looking comfortable for them, with the owners potentially going back onto Red to see, okay, what are you going to show us? Need to give us a reason to believe that you're actually going to climb your way out of this hole you found yourself in. Once Kaze has a level 6, maybe the map rotations will be able to try and catch Los Grandes out, but you're looking for, Steps and Frosty, I suppose, can get a roam going, but away from the making junglers for Steps, and we've settled back into a Trundle. See if he's a little bit more successful, at least as to do. Will Valkyrie away from the crash down from Frosty and will not take too much damage.
I told the story of Los at the back end of last game, the team that in Split 1 really did well in the regular season, struggled in playoffs. I want to tell you, tell me if you've heard this story before. We have a team unassuming from the regular season of the CBLOL Cup, that all of a sudden the playoffs come and they start sweeping everybody aside, sort of underestimated at every turn, and then go on to win the whole thing. I don't know if we've heard that one before, but it feels familiar.
Maybe even one split ago, perhaps. Maybe even the last time we had playoffs, we might have seen some sort of bad thing return, perhaps, may have happened. And Los Grandes really threatening to... they did kind of absorb the power from Loud in that playoff series, taking the win in Game 5. So maybe they have simply picked up the mantle and are carrying it forward for the same mission.
And now, in fairness, last split, Loud didn't even lose it, go into the lower bracket, right? They just sort of won everything. And then went to first stand. Los have actually had the full glory run through the lower bracket to get to this stage, and they have not yet won Game 3 to send them to a final with Furia, but it doesn't look bad to begin with. I think that my idea of this composition was, it probably falls off, and then they locked in Victor, and I went, well, that's not a problem anymore. And overall, to be honest, Los are in a pretty good spot. They've got winning lanes currently. They've got Curse, who doesn't really have to do anything on the Neferi right now, can just farm up to a Cyclo Sword and be a menace in the mid game. So they're in a really good spot. It's like we've said all series, it's on Steps, it's on Kaze to make something happen.
Kaze having to
Yes, no
change
flash.
direction mid-retreat there to avoid the stun. The Chaos Storm is burning down the laser as well. Not quite enough for the kill, as Zinz also escaping on less than 50 HP. Red continually under pressure all across the map right now.
The solo laners for the Canids just, between them less than 100 health as they both try to evade death on their respective lanes. Steps shows up down on the bot side, but I mean, this is not a push nor dive that I'm particularly excited about. If I'm the Red Canids, to be honest with you,
No.
maybe the Dragon is a good take, and that's about as good as you can hope for.
Yep, there's a small gold lead opening up for Los Grandes, as usual in this series so far. About 500-600 gold to the good are Los Grandes. As Steps currently not working on the Dragon just yet, perhaps just sorting out the Rift Scuttler to get a little bit of vision. Returns off to that top side with the red buff coming up soon. And we do have almost level 6 for Kaze. We do in fact have level 6 for Kaze. So now they have a playmaking tool on the map. They have some sort of macro option to use. The Zest, in fact, has the level advantage of a Zinz, who hops back in, maybe trying to bait him into a play that he doesn't want to take, maybe just knowing the Zest doesn't have a good way to force that, as he doesn't actually have Flash on Renekton either. And Red heading into a play
Here we
in
go,
mid lane to get
4v4.
stun onto Feisty. DPS traded either way, a TP from Mel coming in. The fight's already concluded.
Yep. Feisty just... He got pillared, got gold carded, and he's lost like 400 HP, which speaks, I guess, to the power that the Canids do not have currently at this stage in the game. They're looking at probably the 1-2 item spikes for when they're going to be able to do things pretty successfully, as Zinz misses on his ulti here, just trying to clear the wave, but I guess Zest with no ulti, no flash, can't really close that gap. But, Twisted Fate, not known for his damage in the early stages of the game. The Trundle probably wants that Trinity Force to come online before you actually start being able to dish out the DPS. But when you lock Feisty in like that, and there are like 3 people breathing down his neck, and he is able to walk away, no problem, that's a problem.
Yeah, we don't really have any purchasing power there in that mid lane. Two Ruby Crystals and Boots have not set up a successful assassination many times, and Feisty was able to walk out of that one without too much trouble. He's actually gone for the Lost Chapter himself. We're not going for any kind of Catalyst Roa into Tanky's Victor build. We're going for the Blackfire Torch potentially into maybe a Ryalize or a Cosmic Drive later. So Feisty showing a lot of confidence. He's 24 CS up, man. If it wasn't Twisted Fate, this gold lead would look even worse.
Yeah.
Kaze getting kind of bailed out a little bit by the TF passive.
On average, Twisted Fate passive gives you 5 gold for every CS, so that's 250 gold, effectively, that he's been able to garner from having loaded dice, or stacked dice, I don't know which one it is, as his passive, but otherwise he'd be like 600 gold down at this stage. So, Twisted Fate has that passive, he has that gold, it's not fake, but ultimately, it sort of speaks to the fact that that's a bit of a problem. Now, with no E here, Morteus in trouble.
Yeah, he's already used the shield to block some damage for Roodood. Chasing him down, backsteps, gets most of the Q away, the Solar Snare as well, at least puts an end to that chase down. Getting a little hairy, but Morteus will walk away as on the top side. Curse picks up the grubs, uncontested. There's no Dragon take still for Red either, as Zinz might be Doven, but Frosty's going to drop a ward down, sees what's happening. I don't know if they've got the juice for a 2v3 dive from full HP. As Zinz knows that one, tries to step up aggressively, but gets stunned up by Zest, I should say. It's damage traded back either way, no dive to be had. Roodood has been got up by Steps, pushing up on his own.
Yeah.
It's beaten to death by the Trundle. And that's solid for Red, getting that first blood on deck, only 9 minutes in, as Red might still be under threat right here, but I think with the tower, they should be safe.
Yeah, and turning Mega as well. I'd like to think that there's enough CC there to stop the play from Los, which is a nice win for the Red Canids down on that bot side. Morteus toying with Dudu there, sort of baiting him in and making sure that he sticks around a little bit longer than he ought to. Doesn't spot the Trundle until about now, and then he's caught in 2 minds. Am I going back? Am I going for the kill? I don't even know. And then Steps here gives him the no counterplay combo. I thought, oh, maybe he gets away, and then Flash ulti on the spot, just to really seal the deal there.
Yeah, Kaze still under pressure from Feisty, but we did have a successful play for Steps, so Red able to find something right now.
Look at Morteus'
I'd
items.
love to see this. Oh, wow, we've gone straight into the Luden's Echo, huh?
His first item, or like 9 minutes into the game, I don't want to say nobody's close, but like he's very far ahead of the curve right now, and he's going to be able to hopefully push that lead. I mean, we've said this a couple of times so far that, Morteus probably the most consistent piece, I feel like, for the Red Canids down on the spot side. They're probably winning the majority of their lanes, but on the Mel, you don't really have that. I don't know. I don't know that you have the same late game carry potential that you do on like a Jinx and a Felios. Those archetypes of champion.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Like, you have a quite a specific strength to play with, and with a lot of squishy champions for Los, they could be at risk. A flash engage from Frosty goes wide. Reflecting off the Phosphorus Bomb is Morteus, and Ackerman dropping a little bit low. With a Mel Ultimate on deck, they've got to be careful here, as Zinz and Steps maybe looking to pressure onto Zest, but Los Grandes, they escape from those plays in both sides of the map. You have Neferi currently south side of mid lane. Kaze, though, tending up to top side, shouldn't be at risk. Frosty's going to Hex Flash over.
He's not spotted either.
I think we're going to potentially have a play developing here. Curse is going to slap bang into this Rel. Those daggers doing a huge amount, but the Magnet Storm cancels the engage. Kaze now in range to slow them down. A gold card to keep the chase down onto Curse, trying to bait out that W, but Curse is holding it. The pillar doesn't quite get the bounce back. The steps needed. Red can't get their hands for a kill.
It's a massive game of chicken, and it's one that Curse comes out on top of. Kaze there, if he just launches it, probably ends up, maybe ends up baiting Curse's W earlier, then you can put the pillar down a little bit sooner, but either way, excellent stuff from Curse. That's a real nail-biter moment, and one that he'll be happy that he comes out of alive.
Having to give some respect in the mid lane. Feisty crashing another wave without contest right now. Steps still on the map and heads down into the spot river, as is Curse. We've got a Triforce completed for the Trundle as well, so he's not in a bad spot. As this Scuttle might be the contest right now. Ackerman's actually heading up to the top side, so they won't have a potential Nico engage to force the issue if they need it. Morteus has already arrived. The river control is going to be Reds. However, here comes the dive. This is what Ackerman's plan is. The CC chain is just that easy. Nico picks up the credit, and they'll get plates as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Zinz just didn't see that, or if he didn't want to use his flash there, but he's on the verge of going Mega. I feel like if he flashes out of the range, goes Mega, he can maybe make a play to turn it back around and try to survive, or at the very least trade 1-for-1. Instead, sort of accepts the L, goes down. His team gets the Dragon down on the bot side, which will be the saving grace that he's clinging onto there. He's likely going to lose this entire turret. I mean, this 2-level lead isn't a product of just one gank on that top side either. We've seen Curse go up there and force Zinz back to base. This is a second time now where the Zinz counterpick has not worked. The Yorick in Game 2 was ineffectual at best. The Gnar in this Game 3 is proving to be a liability.
Steps going to be able to clean out that Raptor camp despite the vision placed all around him. Still pressure being put on him by Los Grandes as they're soaking up so much gold from plates and side pressure. That top lane turret's already gone down. Dudu has had a lot of free time with that bot lane as well. Keeping that gold income flowing in for Corki. Approaching the Triforce. Not quite there yet. That will be that first major spike, and the second coming soon after with a Mermana. For now, Morteus with that Luden's Echo is going to be able to pump out a little bit more damage, I think, if he can get it layered up onto the right targets.
Has now picked up as well for Morteus those tier 2 shoes, so he'll be able to move around the map quite nicely. Obviously, for gold. Didn't pick them up earlier, so he needs somebody with a better idea of linguistics to get me through that one, and we'll see if Zinz falls on this top side.
Has been dived on by Curse, and it's not the easiest task to get away from Neferi. Not really much he could do there, it seems. Tries to hop away, but Curse has already got it done.
Cyclo Sword versus Plated Steel Caps. It's not a close one. No. And Curse, even down a level, able to find that solo kill there. Zinz, second time death in this third game, rather. What are the win conditions looking like for the Red Canids? I mean, again, it's another game where we were looking to Steps, we were looking to Kaze to get the ball rolling. Kaze's just dinged level 11. Have we seen Destiny be used? Like, has he put any points into this skill? Yeah, it's rank 2 now, but I'd be better off with 2 points in W now.
The wildcards go crazy though, bro. They're massive, I hope, because we do not seem to have seen much else. We're not quite done with the rower. Once he has that, that'll start to stack up, and he has at least got a little bit of AP in the build right now, but it's quite a defensive TF build, right? We do see it quite commonly these days, where it's really about just getting the gold cards out on the map to set themselves up for your team to get them gold influx, and they can use their damage, but we're not seeing that first step. We're just seeing a slow TF build that is slow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening right now.
And again, I really do think this is a sort of valuable exercise to do to sort of show you how far ahead Feisty actually is. Currently, it's like 400-500 gold, the gold lead, without TF passive. Kaze, we're looking at the very minimum here, like 800 gold stacked up from his passive, maybe 700 on average. So, Feisty a 1k gold lead based off of laning alone? That's crazy.
Yeah, Feisty is really scaling into this series, and Kaze seems to be kind of shrinking into the shadows. Roodood and a Valkyrie away from that Trundle pillar. Not too much issue found right there. As Red now 3,000 gold behind. Los Grandes, they have the grubs to their name as well. We've seen the power of these side lane pushes, and look in your picture-in-picture right there. Zest is working on another side lane outer with nobody stopping him. Zinz is going over to do something about it now, but they've already lost almost all the plates, and now Red's dragged back to mid lane. The Herald's still being worked on. We need to find a play. We need to find something to get the crowd going, to give the fans some hope, to get you back into this game, Red.
I feel like Bart Simpson with the stick, where I'm just poking Red, going, "Come on, do something," you know? Like, This is, it's really sad to see the team that we thought, you know, coming into the postseason, we could very easily send you to MSI and have like a real show at something, with Steps absolutely driving the team really aggressively, to now them just very quietly falling out of playoffs feels, pretty bad.
Feels about as bad as this. Steps caught around the side of mid lane. The CC chain comes through and Los can dive forward. There's no answer from Red. No one's in position to stop them. A second Herald charge cracks mid-outer, slams into mid-inner. Now 5,000 the gold lead. This is the most dominant game we've seen today. Feels like Red have just run out of steam. It's kind of akin to VKS in that first matchup where Los Grandes started this lower bracket run, where they similarly just swept aside what was one of our main pillars of the league just a split or two ago. VKS with a split 3 champions in 2025. The lackluster 26 that Los Grandes knocked them out split 1 without a second thought. Now looking to do the same to Red as they head onto this Dragon.
This will be the first one picked up for Los here. Soul win condition not likely to really exist for either of these sides, just by the nature of the fact that it's 1-1 early on. And to be honest, the way this game's going, don't expect too much from Red to stay in this game.
No, we're really running out of options right now. We have headed to the river, and maybe they can get onto this isolated Renekton. Though, of course, Renekton can survive quite a long time using the Dominus, using the healing inbuilt. Steps has now been sectioned away from the rest of the team. Pushed into a corner. All he can do is waste time. The rest of Red backing away into the jungle. Los Grandes looking for more. A Solar Slayer out of the Feisty. The burst is hit too early, but Kaze cleans it up with the wild cards. There's the skill points coming up massive, I suppose. And Red do at least get something there.
Alrighty, a 1-for-1 and a 1-for-2. 1-for-1? 1-for-1. Good. Well done. Thank you, Rude. A 1-for-1 is now Zinz maybe looking to try and change that.
Ackerman catches onto 2 of the Pot Blossoms. Zest flashes in onto Kaze, and Curse comes in from the flank to finish the job. Zinz trying to get away. He's found a kill onto the Nico. Goes Mega, but doesn't have the ultimate, it seems, and will go down to Zest. Frosty fails a crash down over the wall. Dudu's arrived to flash in with a Phosphorus Bomb, shredding them down with the Gatlings, and it's a double for Zest. The Kolomika at the end, and Red, the even trade ends up falling apart anyway.
And try as Morteus might here, this is the problem with the Mel. You don't have that consistent DPS. You throw your spells out, and then you're useless for 4 seconds. You have to wait for those spells to come back up off cooldown, and then you can actually start to try and do some damage once again. But this is how the fight started. It's with Kaze coming from the enemy jungle, looking for Ackerman, who just clone and walk away, because of this collapse that they go for on to Zest. And you call it perfectly in the fight, Trajan. The Renekton survives for a very long time, and Zinz, in fairness, does a good job at peeling away the backside of Los Grandes there. And then it's Morteus on this Mel, finding a really good pick here. Solar Snare into a fully rounded queue. Wildcards from downtown are able to do the final little bit of work. Zinz here, I'm not sure if he gets baited in thinking that it might be somebody a little bit lower on HP than they actually were. Either way, walks into a Nico with Pot Blossom, and yeah, it starts as a 1-for-1, but you don't have ulti from the play before. Zinz is going to fall, and a couple of really crucial mistakes here. Frosty, you know, if he goes in with that, maybe they can get better damage down from the Mel. If he lands the escape over the wall, maybe he lives.
Talker's running out of hope, I think, in the back room there, and it looks like the team are as well. Los Grandes now pushing forward through this bot lane, threatening the inner. Zint's currently working on top side. There's an objective bounty to pick up. So decent value for Zint's to opt for that choice as Red hold onto their turret for the time being. Still over 2 minutes before the next dragon. The Baron is live, though. Los tried to put a bit of a bait and switch. Triple root from Ackerman. He is knocked down by Marteus, doesn't hesitate to punish. They kill Zest as well. Actually, not too bad for Red if they can hold on to the rest of their members. The rocket from Dudu, though, connects onto Steps and makes it a 2 for 2.
All right, but that's in a 4 versus 5 as well. And his kills going on to Morteus. I think that if we're going to put money anywhere, it has to be onto this Mel to try and make the difference. Zinz is going to get some gold from this turret on the top side as well. And when you're, what was probably 7,000 gold up in the lead to begin with, losing out on a 2 for 2 like that is not the way that you want this game to go. Morteus goes back, grabs a needlessly large rod. This, for me, has to be Shadow Flame or Death Cap, just to do the damage that is needed from him. You don't have the opportunity, you don't have the space here when so far behind to go for a stasis. As it's Feisty who knocks them over the wall. Ackerman has to then sort of commit with that. But it's a really good response from the Canids here. I think Feisty maybe getting a little bit too overzealous, maybe just clicking on a plant that he didn't mean to. And even still, it's a 2 for 2 overall, and if that was a mistake by Los, they'll take that.
Now looking to get control over the Baron pit. Los, 2 wins in the bag. Very close to the first CBLOL finals this organization has ever seen if they can wrap up this series without too much more problems. Red trying to take what control they can of their own jungle. We're hitting some 2 item spikes across the board for them. We have a Proto Belt and a Needless now online for Morteus off the back of the kills he picked up in that bot lane play. 2 items online for Kaze, including a Lich Bane, so he started to get a little bit of damage to bring to bear. As Zest dives aggressively forward over the wall. It's going to get CC down. He takes a lot of damage and is completely destroyed by Red. So Los finally put a real foot wrong there, and they lose all the momentum in that play.
It's the second instance now in a row where Los have just fumbled a little bit here. Light's not necessarily too bright just yet, but certainly turning up for Los Grandes here as a couple of mistakes here and there, not the worst thing in the world. A couple of mistakes that lose you a game that you absolutely should have won. Definitely not something that they will be eager to find. Zest being dead for 15 seconds, Drake spawns. This should be second dragon for the Canids. Shouldn't really be an opportunity to contest this. Yes, Feisty's got TP if he wants to come down for this one, but it should be a 5v4 on the map regardless.
Curse pops his way into the pit with a blast cone. Obviously can skip out of the pit without too much problem. Is pushed back by the Pillar of Fill. Looks for a way in once again, but it is going to be Steps picking up that second Drake for Red. The Infernal Rift for us here in game number 3. Feisty, though, did pick up that top lane turret. Keeps the gold heavily in Los Grandes' favor. As Frosty's going to be caught on a recall, actually. This is not a good place to be in. Crashes down to put some distance there, but you cannot escape the hunting Neferi. And now Steps has been left in the lurch here, discovered by the chase down, and has to flash away for it.
That's a really bad death by Frosty. Just like caught on a recall is a really inexcusable death at this stage in the game. You were just barely starting to make some headway back into the game, but giving your life like that just costs you all of the momentum, really. It stops everything dead in its tracks and then sort of re-establishes control for Los here. Again, a team that at the end of split number 1 went out with a whimper. 2 playoff defeats immediately after a really solid first split. Okay. As Curse sort of showcasing himself through the jungle. Are they going to go for this fight? Doesn't feel like it.
Oh my word. Red Canids really struggling to get some control over this game. They've got a couple of kills picked up recently in Los Grandes, going back to this topside control. Misstepped a few times, but now let's see if they can succeed on this third attempt right here. Feisty now joining in to push back the side of Red. They're going to clean out this red buff as Zintz is using this time to work on the turret in bot side. So Red still getting something out of this exchange, but they have to make sure they keep an eye on this Baron. Now the control ward is going to stop them having a great idea of what's going on right here. They're trying to come through mid lane. Zintz is TPing in too.
They just blue warded it, so they know that it's being started. Whether or not they can find a good way in is a different question, as Ackerman is a minion trying to get away in for another fight.
Frosty, again under threat, has to crash down away. One of the CC options there. Curse Flies in, but instantly has to back up. But Ackerman flashes forward with a Pot Blossom.
That's
and that
Mateus.
lets Los get into melee range. The low range comp manages to close the distance. As Feisty zoning out the entire mid jungle of red. May have stepped too far forward here. Loses vision critically and is going to get beaten down. Or is he? Scoots his way to safety and kills off steps. And I think just like that, Root, this game might be over.
This game, this series, and Red's chances of making it back to a rematch with Furia. Los are clowning on them.
Kaze off the fountain gets destroyed by Doodoo Rockets. He'll take credit for Curse taking too many tower shots as Frosty has arrived. They still need to make 3 or 4 seconds last, though. And that is going to be an eternity as the Nexus will fall. Los Grandes claim another massive CBLOL scalp as they punch their ticket to the first CBLOL final that this org has ever seen.
A devastating series for the Red Canids. You can see the Los fans extremely jubilant after what was a relatively controlled, relatively measured 3-0. Didn't really feel like there was any sweating from at least my perspective. You know, the game number 1 was about as close as it got, where Red, they got a soul, but it was always under this idea, under this guise of, well, you needed that soul. That wasn't going to win you the game, though. Game 2, they had a little bit of a bounce back where they did really nicely trying to break their way back into a game that they were really far behind in anyway. And then in Game 3, when they didn't have any early game tools themselves, they just fell over and died really, really easily.
And you can see here, Los Grandes taking the adoration of the fans, getting themselves organized to take a picture to immortalize this moment. Doodoo, what is he, 18? He's barely old enough to play this game legally in the country that they're playing in, and has just swept aside Red Canids to make his first finals. Curse swapping off of Red Canids onto Los Grandes, then knocking Red out.
Yeah.
Return to the finals to seek some revenge on Furia. This Lost roster is really starting to cook. You can really feel the energy in the room right there. And Furia, they are not going to have an easy ride on the finals day, I dare say. They've got a lot of momentum, a lot of passion and energy coming at them from the lower side.
Yeah, and in fairness, you know, well played to Los this time. This is their quickest or second quickest series. I mean, the VKS one we really ought not to speak of for the sake of VKS, because that was the most one-sided series we've ever seen. But they've either absolutely breezed their opponents or kind of put themselves to the test with a full 5-game banger. So. Yeah. It's good now for Los that they get to end on a 3-0, a real confidence builder. It's the morale week, really, with the pickup there of a nice quick win to end out this weekend. And like you say, date with Furia next weekend on the Saturday. So that's something to keep our eyes on, to look forward to. And hopefully here we get to see what is ultimately a good best of 5 to close out and pick our MSI reps.
At this point, I do have hope that we do have a good finals best of 5 coming our way. The last finals was Loud's just kind of knocking out the opponents without any real issue. But I think given how strong Furia and how consistent they have looked, but now Los Grandes, they put so much work in, they put so much effort in to get here. All we need to hope is that this week break they have will allow them to refresh themselves without necessarily cooling off too much and coming in looking as good as they do today. Because it was not all about we have to smash lane if we're going to win games as Los Grandes anymore. Now they can just win by being better. They can make better decisions. They can play the map better. They can scale better if they need to. They can be patient. They can be aggressive. They can do everything you need to do to be a real League of Legends team that can challenge for titles in the CBLOL. And I hope that's what they show us on Saturday.
I do as well. And you know, just to not to take away from the players in any way, look at the bottom right-hand side of your screen right there. What it means to Doodoo as well. Like I'm going to go and hazard a guess that that's maybe Mama Doodoo up on stage. And just so proud, so excited to see what this young prodigy is able to do, what Doodoo can manage, what he can muster up. Even just making it to a finals means this much already.
Yeah. The 3 things you can always be sure of, everybody. It's death taxes and absolutely cracked out Brazilian AD carries in the CBLOL. Dudu, another one rising to the top right here, is going to go up against IU, one of the most recent to come out of that system and be the next hope of the region. Dudu now going to fight out for a chance to see who really is at the top of the bot lane role in this region. So that is going to be another story for us to see play out next week. I think that's probably going to wrap us up for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It was short, but it was very sweet for the Lowe's fans, that's for sure. Red Canids back to the drawing board. Thank you, Dia, for running production for us today, even with the Spanish weather trying to cook his PC and him inside his own home. We managed to fight through and get the full 3-0. Thank you, Roodood, for joining. Thank you, everybody else, for sticking out and watching us here this evening. And we hope you will join us again next week for the conclusion, the exciting conclusion of CBLOL Split 1 2026 with the grand finals. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you next week.